Glad to see you. Okay. Hook 'em horns, yeah. All right. So it is now 5:45. So let me please call this meeting to order. Uh, It is 5:45 and the Leon Valley City Council regular meeting will come to order on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. And as you can see, we do have a quorum. All council members are present. And I didn't ask, but Councilor Mersch, would you lead us in the pledge? Thank you so much. If y'all would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you. And I said to somebody today at our office, Happy New Year, and my son said, Mom, it's too late to say Happy New Year, and I don't think it is. So Happy New Year and welcome back. So anyway, all right. So we're going to executive session, agenda item number 2. The City Council shall meet in executive session to discuss the following. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Chapter 551, Section 551.074, personnel matters regarding the annual review of the city manager as outlined in the employment agreement. So at this time, at 5:47, we will move to executive session and stand in recess. We will be back no later than 6:30 to start the meeting, okay? We want to make sure we start the meeting at 6:30 on time. Thank you. I will. Thank you.
So I was telling Sandra, I don't know what link she had, but that's not the right link. So I asked her to.
Because I did it on the phone and I did it on the.
I didn't see anything on my end. Oh, I know. I've been messing with it since I saw it too. I was like, what's going on? But it shows here. You know what I mean?
Eric, are you still around? Okay. It says something about when I'm here, I've never done this before, but now it's saying to connect, the encoder's not connected for YouTube. Mm-hmm. Well, I was, and then I tried to redo it, and now it's black again. So, but it could be because I don't have anything on the screen. Let me double check. Let's see here. Hold on.
How you doing today? How was your trip down from Austin? Hold on one second.
So
I'm sorry, sir. I said, how was
it
your
looks
trip
like
from
on
Georgetown?
my end,
Oh, I came in this
what I
morning.
see on my
Good.
user end looks like it's
They got you in a good
running
No,
from
no,
the
they don't do
screen, the
that. They
projector
don't do
screen.
that? No, sir.
But when
Shame
it's
on 'em. Thank you.
but on the actual channel, it's not going at all. Like when I click live stream, it's just loading.
You talked to Jay? No, who are you?
And then on YouTube, it says connect your encoder to start preview. Right.
Just got the,
So, I mean, was something switched back there or something that I know of? Right? You just started it here at the panel, but nothing in the back there, right?
Cars too, junk cars.
Yeah.
Got one that's sitting over
Yeah,
here
mhm.
from my house. Apartment complex says it belongs to the city. The city says it belongs to the apartment complex.
Okay.
Okay. It's the same crap I put up with the last 40, 50 years. Why is it so important? They picked them up, other police chiefs picked them up eventually. And I'm actually going to compliment putting them up on the telephone poles. Oh, yeah. Which is against the law. I took one down. I've seen them on stop signs. Out there in front of a supposed council member's house on Forest Way. I caught one in San Antonio. They won't do anything. No, unfortunately.
Right, it's not pushing out.
I do nothing police chief now. I used to have a great deal of respect for him. He told me, I don't break the law.
What's that?
But when you don't enforce the law.
You know, I don't.
Yeah, we got abandoned cars.
The mayor is.
We got,
I only talk to him when I'm.
chain link fences going up in front of
Okay.
people's houses. I don't think they're under code.
I think.
Everything, the last couple of counts,
And,
these auditors got in here, all had a fat son of a bitch. Lives up the street from me,
so,
an old crankshaft.
no, I don't think,
And,
I haven't heard anything from Terry
really,
since last week.
they're lying. These ordinances. Complain about the abandoned cars, and I saw it on the ordinances, ordinance. I was corrected after voting.
Yeah.
Then, nothing said, changed the ordinance. After reading it, after a few days, they got everything changed again.
Yes.
It's supposed to be the right
Oh,
way.
on the 26th? Well, they haven't asked me to attend.
I show it on my side when I push it out, like it's on Cablecast, but it's not feeding out to our website or to YouTube.
We have no felon.
You know, I can do the deposition from there.
He's a no felon. On the policeman.
Then yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem for me to.
In fact, they made him chairman there for a while. And I was on the committee.
I haven't been told one way or the
That's when they finally put me on consent
I'm not back there because Crystal's back there with the executive session.
Because I called. Bluegrass people, he's still active. Doing wrong things lately.
Oh,
We
okay.
used to have a ordinance, couldn't be on any committee, do background checks on everybody. So they didn't have any felons.
Right.
Or another ordinance that says. Evidence assault, aggravated assault. Same as rap sheet, same thing with Benny Martinez. Benny Martinez, sorry, S-O-U-I, sack of crap. Comble's a good guy, I think he tries to be fair. I'm not gonna agree with everybody on council. I don't expect them to agree with me. Fair. Now, Chris, I've advocated for her, I defended her, I voted for her in the past. When she got up there and lied to everybody and said,
I don't know, but all I know is just that
she didn't know what was going on.
it's not showing anywhere. Like, and I don't understand why not.
Yeah, well, because the counselor went there and asked her to correct it. Actually, would have been the end of it. And apologize for his antics. What it is.
Stays.
Little things. Second year.
And then what should be happening is when you change those, it changes it on that screen. Right? You know, that screen above the, I know you can't go in there right now, but that's what should be happening.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because that's what we tested,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. And in here, it changes what I see here.
That's right. And that's what's projected up on the projector.
Yes.
That selects what goes out to the streaming content. Well, and when it says connect your encoder, that means that the Crestron system, the Extron box, the one that has the thing plugged in the front, that sends the signal outbound on a red box. The red box sends it inbound to the cablecast. Okay, the red box is the decimator, and the decimator has two outputs, and it shows up at the top what the output is. But I'm just thinking the only thing I can think of is to reset that decimator. We reset cablecast already.
25 years ago.
Okay.
And everybody fought against it. I fought against it. And they put that thing down here on 410. The road made it a lot faster getting on 410.
I don't know, because it says here that it's recording and that it's going out to YouTube,
They start building.
but
Do you want to check the YouTube channel for mine?
They just talked about building out there clubs.
Yeah.
January 20th.
Okay. There you go.
Well, everybody lives.
Cool. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. When this town was established,
Yeah, it just is waiting for you.
a lot of people don't realize that Leon Valley
Yeah, but there's,
Medical Center, all way
And
over
then
to
this,
Emerald
where I
Field
usually
Parkway.
click to see live, is just
What happened?
Well, I go live too, and it's
Somebody got
buffering.
whatever.
And this is what I see on my YouTube.
Well, I got the short end
So.
stick.
I'm seeing what that says. What does that say?
Usually it's this
We're
one.
surrounded by San Antonio.
That's the input,
You
right?
can't do any more than what you can do.
How about the cablecast
You got
stream?
these Canadians from our 51st state coming in here buying up land and wondering. They come from Canada. North Carolina. Here. And they resell the stuff for. Right down here on every.
So there's live streams. That's where you schedule a new one.
No, this is where I schedule a new one. Because this is the show I made. And then I put it in at 5:30 for
Is
those
there a way
7
to?
hours.
There's no way to start and stop it, right?
There is, but it's just not very easy. It says it's been recording, so I don't know.
That's a whole lot of houses. They're gonna have them real close together. Read back that big houses. Big park. I can understand we need revenue, but it takes 2 or 3 years.
And then cablecast, we can't talk to them at all, right?
That's what I was saying. Like, I don't have a phone number for them. I don't know if you do, but.
All right. Let's see. I mean, let me go through back their old emails and stuff to us. Hold on. Just searching old email and everything, so give me just a sec. I can search Daniel's old email, our old email. I can search everything. Yeah, support.
Well, let's have this time. Been a bunch of them.
So they have a thing where you go to support.cablecast.tv. I see. Okay, and you have to, create tickets and all that crap.
Yeah.
Through my old emails and stuff, because see if we can get a hold of any person that. I have a number. This was a guy. It's 612-979-9719. This is just that was a sales guy though. I'm just trying to see. Cast. RTMP stuff. Vibration. Check my email.
I'm at Citizens. Copies for them. About, bandit.
streaming.
Supposed to be that,
It's like they're very careful to not give out a number, right?
Yeah.
he had to be picked up.
Okay, this is a guy named Wade that was working on it before. 612-979-9719. I mean, you want me to hang up with you and try to call any of these numbers?
Sure, that'd be great.
All right,
All right,
thanks.
bye.
Bye.
They won't be taking the mayor to court because they're being yard. Damn weeds grow up, she would take care of it. I don't worry, this police chief ain't gonna make the. Somebody out there look at it, but they ain't gonna. Some of the problems we have in this city is spending money on crap we don't need. That's why it's so short of money. If there's a
Hello?
disaster takes place.
Yeah.
We need a new custodian, maintenance facility. Needs to be updated. They need a whole new building for one thing. Swimming pool, library, there's three main things that
Okay.
needs to be done. Besides
Mm-hmm.
updating the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
City can only do so many streets. Because they
Right.
allocate so much money.
That's what it says for YouTube, yeah.
That is bullshit. Bullshit. That's the same thing they used when they were in the hemisphere area, when the Spurs were in the hemisphere. So they get the Alamo Dome done. We'll get the Alamo Dome done, so we get a football team, and the Spurs have a place to basketball. Come to find out, it's too big. They only used half the Alamo Dome, and it was too small for a damn football, professional football team. So we went along, and they used the same crap, putting in that
What's going on?
frost thing.
So it's showing on my user end of Cablecast, but it's not showing.
You gotta log in.
Yeah, I know, I logged in, look. It's not showing on YouTube or anything.
Ah,
It's not showing on our streaming. It's not showing, see, like, we're connected. So right now I'm just playing this, but it's not showing.
did you call Eric?
Once I'm on the phone. He wants me to unplug something over there.
They're not gonna let us back there until they're done.
Okay.
No.
See, but it just keeps.
But when they come back out, I'll ask for like a 5-minute recess. When they come back out and say, we just gotta fix this hexagon
Yeah.
issue and see if it'll reboot it.
Right.
Did he run a thing earlier?
Oh, we ran this, we didn't run it from,
Waste of money.
totally from the back, I guess.
How are you doing, Mr. Blackmore?
Well, I'm doing great. You look good.
Thanks.
Not married yet?
So they're discussing, I guess, her contract, so we can't go back there right now.
No, I've been with my husband since I was 16 years old.
You were a child.
Yeah.
Child molester.
I always
Yeah.
tell him, I raised him, he saved me, I raised him, so we kind of live by that motto. But, we've been married since,
That's okay. We haven't had anything, but we had a break, I guess, and now we're back from the break, and now nothing's wanting to work.
Well, you know what, this year, you're working for almost nothing.
no, I get paid good, I'm not.
Out there in a minute.
They're, 6:30 is their call time, they'll come back out, and if they need to continue back there after 6:30.
Well, are you gonna pizza back there, or?
No, I didn't, so we took the food out of the budget this year, so
Well, good.
they're not eating.
Let them buy their own.
So.
They make enough money.
I probably should have bribed them with dinner though, because
Well.
my valuation.
Hope it was good. I'm sure.
Well, we'll
Okay.
see, so I go and give my spiel of what I accomplished for the year.
Yes.
And they kick me out
Yes.
and see if what I said is true, and then they call me back there, and then they tell me, yeah.
Back here to start, and maybe on Aldi's.
Well, they said Aldi's is trying to make its way back. Aldi's is up north
Such
is
a
a grocery
headache.
store, but nobody tries Texas because it's HB. Yeah.
They have Aldi's in Houston now.
Got a Kroger right down here,
Albertsons was here.
yeah, Albertson was down here, 410 in, Bandera.
So-
And there was AP.
And then y'all had a sun harvest here at one point.
I thought Sun Harvest was over here on Fredericksburg and 410.
Maybe.
That's
So
when-
before I was born in 1983.
Well, that's when, Judge, what's his
There you
name,
go.
Wolf, owned it.
Owned it, okay.
And he got bought out, and,
So right now, this is the encoder.
so he would start running.
Right now, I just press an action to play CG, just so that we can see if something changed.
Y'all had
That's what I did right now.
Well, I think we
But
had a-
nothing's
over here on,
changed. I mean, I still can't see anything on YouTube, and I still can't see anything on here.
Bandera and, the Whataburger's located at. Grocery store there at one time. They were there for a few years and opened up.
HEB's hard to compete with. Like if you go healthy and then you're like, I'm not paying that. Organic.
Well, we didn't have HEB for a long time here.
So I just, yeah, oh yeah, HEB.
We had, I think Handy did, Andy over
This
here
one
on,
here?
Evers, and, that was, when I came back from Southeast
I haven't done
Asia,
anything different other than now that I'm trying to mess with it, but before I scheduled it,
and,
like I normally schedule it, thinking it's
Mark
gonna
Mall
run,
would eat here.
Yeah.
and then it wasn't running, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But HEB, so I remember when I came on in 2004, I had to do like a sales
I don't normally do anything right here,
come in and then
but
big dip in your sales tax when they close down.
maybe,
So I have some knowledge of like some of the stores that were here, but more in the night. And
What's gonna happen if they Sherry goes?
yeah, yeah,
You're gonna lose a lot.
sure.
Well,
If
no.
they start putting a roadway in,
So, and Sierra, we don't really we make property tax off of them, but
don't,
we
I thought we did.
I don't know if you'll remember, but
Now they're
probably
both in
about
sync
10 years
again.
ago, we did this whole sustainability
So they're both
overlay,
showing
and they
what
were
I show.
trying to
Watch if I do the front
that
camera.
whole corner to be more like.
Now you're gonna see
And then
the
it
front
didn't
camera,
personally work with the land.
right?
So they changed it back to commercial,
Yeah.
but that's how we got.
So everything on my end, the user end of CableCast looks right, but then when you come here to the output channel, for what people see, nothing is showing.
I would love a small little other.
I don't
big, I can, I'll be there for days.
Well, they have
And it
one,
says
I
here,
like lobster, and I
it
like
says
eating
no
fresh
data,
lobster.
connect your encoder to start preview.
They used to have it over here, then they had it over here at Babcock. Then they don't have it anymore. They used to have one over there, what is it, Gilbo, that HEB there. They used to have it there, and then stopped having it there. And then, the last time I saw it, was over.
That's when I'm remote.
Like your
That's when I'm remote though.
for chicken,
So, you want me to show you how I schedule?
one of the only HEBs
So,
in this area that has a food where you get
so how I schedule is I come here
rice, beans,
and I've already created a show. And the show is just doing this, naming it, telling it how long, and then giving it a category.
Brian's the one that turned me on to the flavor.
And that's how I just start the show, or I create the show, right? And then I come in here
Oh, yeah.
and I schedule the show. So then here, it gave me a number, so then in here I go to the time, I put the number,
So there's
and
a small little HEB.
this is the
on San
YouTube.
Pedro and Ole, and my daughter used to
I
go to
created
school
it.
around there when she was little.
Captions,
That, like, I pick her up.
make sure that it's running on record.
And go to that HEB, because it's like, you can go in and out so quick, so I love that HEB. I run the captions to be able to broadcast through YouTube. I created it, right? Run details, it's from 5:30 on,
When I was a young man,
and then usually,
there was,
yeah, I did that already too. I did that twice already, thinking maybe I could do that, and it didn't change anything. And that's when I told Sandra, hey, you know, grab the new YouTube link, because I'm gonna trash that one. But yeah, I mean,
always, I go up to Kerrville, got friends up there. I always wondered, I said, they got one big HEB up there. I wondered, I said, why something more in Kerrville since it started in Kerrville? They're branching out too. Down to Mexico, they're already gone.
right, you did a pass through. You did start pass through.
I don't know, I've never been to it.
I've been to when they first opened, because they sell like eggs and milk and stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they sell, I guess, a lot of like Jamaican. I haven't been in there since, but somebody said that they went in there the other day.
Maybe. I don't know. I never usually mess with this, but we can.
Forget the name of it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, y'all should really talk to the Kroger CEO, say, come out here, get some money.
I know. Anything big, like, Hobby Lobby, you know.
Okay, see what happens. Nope.
Did they close on that?
Yeah. See, but this one, live to, I was looking to see what this is. Live to stream URL. Maybe if we, yeah, or what did it say? Play stream live to.
We have a Dollar General.
Oh, it's doing something crazy.
Over there by bowling alley or something. At 6:30, this thing starts.
Well, that's what we did.
This dog and pony show.
See, Aldi, I don't like Aldi because you have to.
I've never been inside an Aldi.
And they charge.
Oh, really? Somebody said they charge for that.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Hey, Mr. Gumbles, how you doing?
We were worried about the tree tonight. We were.
Man, I like your suit. You told me that last week.
You look nice. Y'all dressed up for us.
Well, it's cold.
Oh, that makes you dress up?
Well, the thing is,
I got my
Dressed up for your
Sure, sure. Let me just come back. Sorry.
My folks' house, and I've been trying to fix their glass computer.
Okay, we're back at 6:30 from the executive session, and we are going to stand in recess for 5 minutes. We have some technical issues we need to take. So if everybody would be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Well, doing great. At the oncologist for the last. Yeah, she's home now. She's real tired.
It was working fine.
It wears me down too. She's got,
I know you.
the doctors, they tell me, you're trying.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is go to your YouTube channel now and just see what can you change.
When you run into 410. You should know where you're at.
It still says connect your encoder to start preview the data.
Back in the recess, so I think everybody took a break.
So that means the output encoder, let me move, this output is not going to the right place, right?
Right.
So it's not going to the YouTube file. So let me look. Unless, can you send the encoder? Hold on. Directly, no. It has to pass through. You cannot send it to,
YouTube.
you can't, YouTube, but
Yeah.
you can send this to YouTube,
Right.
right?
Right.
By the amount of months that you had. So for example, the next one that is gonna be in March, then it's gonna be that one. And the reason why.
I'm gonna see what happens here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna see what my options are.
And so it's just to make sure that we're showing
So the VO encoder is the input.
instead of.
Switch channel output, take. Hold on.
And that's why I'm just adding this one so we can keep track
Okay,
of
well that
what's
won't work.
happening.
Okay, so action. We're gonna go to the broadcast, right? And you want the channel output, right? Because that's what the channel is, right?
Okay. Yeah. What if?
Yeah.
What if?
I see that in TikTok.
Play CG, is that how you do it, or what do you?
That would play that running bulletins I have.
Okay, okay. Okay, so you're just gonna do, you
Only
just
by
turn on
February
TV
we're
or
gonna
start
get
pass through, right?
Yeah. See what happens.
Mostly,
Yeah, that's the input.
I don't know what CMSID is.
So that's what we have. Yeah, no, yeah.
You can. So you're trying to do this, oh wait, hold on, you're not doing that. You're doing action, force event, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
I saw on YouTube was 2.
Oh, two had one?
Well, yeah, watch, if you go to that YouTube, it would, it says here, RTMP Live 2.
Okay.
So,
So if we start RTMP, this, right? And we want a channel, right?
mhm.
Down like that. Maintain via, hold on. We do want the playback. And we could probably do a live source,
So
right?
that's what I was thinking, because it's a live output, or it's a live thing, but it doesn't like it.
I'll give you a breakdown.
Let me go back to the first.
Yes, and we have to pay one by one because I want to make sure that they don't get confused with projects. So like one check at a time.
And you said number 2,
Oh, thank you
right?
so much.
Yeah.
I
So go to the,
I've been trying to be more extra beautiful, but not true. That's about that. Just to show how they make how
Start pass through.
maybe, no,
So I think that
maybe it was just play.
I love them.
Okay, so I'm gonna run it through real quick.
Oh, I don't know what that
That's a
is.
file.
Oh,
I stream.
there it is, 2. And then channel. Nope, I don't like that either. What if we just force a live source?
We tried that.
No, we did, okay.
Did y'all have a big do for Mr. Morris? Yeah. Good deal. I wanted to go to that thing. We had some things.
I mean, you know, hopefully.
Well, she retired. She came out and just, you know, too good. But it's
This has got to be it, right? YouTube broadcast RTMP output. I just want to see what preview says, just so I can see what it does. No?
Is she gonna do something in Bend here now?
She said she's gonna take some time off to take care of her mom.
She's gonna get bored.
She will, but I do have a couple of
Can I just do the encoder straight to the lady? This is the encoder.
Mhm.
Maybe if we, oh, it only let me pass.
Start pass through, yeah.
I want to see what it does. Record. Oh, that makes a file. Okay. So we're getting a signal into the.
He's still troubleshooting.
Yeah,
Is there a?
That's okay, you just let me
Sorry.
know, no problem, okay.
Oh, yeah. She already told me last week, she said, because we were off for Christmas break.
The cloud services is what we got for like town hall. That's how I would live stream for town hall.
Would you go to the Cablecast channel on here?
Right here.
How are we doing, Crystal? Can we come back?
You can come back. It's not pushing out.
We're still recording.
Mhm.
Back number three.
We did put in a call to Cablecast. They haven't called us back.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, it's not current, so you're gonna, everybody's probably gonna be getting texts. They're not seeing it at home, but we are backing up and we'll upload the council meeting video first thing tomorrow morning. So, we can't get it to push out on the stream.
All right. Well, I think we need to, for the efficiency of time, we ought to go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, so we're back on the record, 6:39, back into council. And we have citizens to be heard. Any citizen wishing to address the council can come forward. Please state your name and just generally where you reside, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak. Thank you. If you'll state your name, please.
Yes, my name is Will McLeod. It's been a while since I've been here.
I'm
I
sorry,
live in
Mr. McLeod?
Huh?
McLeod?
McLeod, yes.
And your
ma'am.
first name?
Will.
Will.
Uh-huh.
Will McLeod. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I don't know if you can hear me all right. Here we go. It's been a while since I've been here. Last time I was here, I think y'all were discussing fluoride. We have some new faces I see. But anyway, I'm here today to thank the code officer who was assigned to remove the bandit signs that were zip tied all over the guardrails from Wurzbach and Bandera to Bandera and Hebner, and hopefully Grissom Road too. The code officer kept in touch and informed me that the campaign signs that were zip tied to the guardrails were removed. I do want to commend him with getting those abated in a timely and efficient manner. It is a shame that the city of San Antonio and TxDOT does not operate with the same sense of urgency as Leon Valley does. With me is a printout of the Safe Roads Initiative, a letter addressed to the Texas Department of Transportation, and a printout of House Bill 3611, which has amended chapters 392 and 393 of the Texas Transportation Code, which provides civil penalties for the unauthorized placement of bandit signs. Campaign signs become bandit signs, also known as non-conforming signs, the moment they are placed in an unlawful manner. The candidate, campaign treasurer, sign installation company, and a sign company, for example, JC Media, 3D Signs, can be sued by the municipality for violating the chapter. These would be considered government debts upon prevailing, and their wages can be garnished as it would be considered a government debt. Texas municipalities can sue and be sued. I am sure that the wording can also be found in the Leon Valley City Charter. I suggest Leon Valley take advantage of this and start suing the sign company, the sign installer, the candidate, and the campaign treasurer who basically violates these provisions. Leon Valley can increase its general revenue fund by going after these entities mentioned in the previous paragraph by filing civil actions against them and collecting civil penalties prescribed by law. Think of how many street improvements, sidewalk improvements, improvements to city facilities that Leon Valley can take, all without raising taxes, while keeping Leon Valley a beautiful place to live, work, and play. I haven't checked out Grissom Road lately, but hopefully those signs will be removed from the guardrail. Those signs were removed from the guardrails as well. Thank you for your time, and thank you for addressing this issue. Be sure to read what I handed to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, very good. Anyone else that'd like to address the council at this time, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move to agenda item number 5, possible action on issues discussed in executive session if necessary. We will reconvene at the end of this council meeting into executive session since we ran out of time. All right, agenda item number 6, presentations. We have 3 presentations tonight, beginning with our Finance Director, Carol Gehring, presentation and discussion of the monthly financial report ending December 31st, 2025. So this is our first quarter of our budget year. So Carol, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, the December report represents the first quarter of the fiscal year 2026.
And Carol, if you'll put the microphone a little bit further in, yes, just so we can all hear you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And excuse me, I know we're having some technical difficulties, but we are able to, as the manager said, record, and this will be put on the tomorrow morning on our website, correct? Just so if somebody is just listening and they can't hear us, that's why I always thought I'd better make that comment. So you're not imagining, it is true, you cannot see us, but you can hear us, I'm sure. So, all right. You don't think they can hear?
I don't think so. It's buffer, like what I'm seeing on my phone, it looks like it's just a black screen.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
They can hear, so my apologies.
I just, yeah, okay. Technology, it's our,
And it has nothing to do with because everybody's gonna say, we've been saying to upgrade the council chambers. It's actually the new equipment that's acting up, not the old equipment.
oh my gosh, yeah, okay, thank you for that. Okay, excuse me, Carol, I didn't mean to interrupt. All right, go ahead, please.
We're having a little bit of difficulty.
I think, I also think the mouse died.
Oh, no. It's in the water.
Alt-H, I think. Let's see if you can access the top. Alt-H.
Go ahead and go that way. Go ahead and I'll get you better.
Okay, so let's start with the general fund. I really have to click exit.
think that's, you said
Okay,
alter,
there you go.
there you go.
Okay. So start with the general fund. On the revenue side, corporate tax is comparable to last year, and we will hopefully collect the same percentage at year end, which is 99%. That's what the city collects every year. The sales tax, we collected roughly the same amount that we did last year, fiscal year. Franchise tax, we're at 9%, and that's because the majority of the revenue, we receive it a month after the quarter ends, so right now we have only received 91,000. We shall see that by February
Okay.
or March. On license permits, fees, and fines, the revenues are 333,000, or 20.8% of the fiscal year 2026 budget, which is lower than last year at this point. These reflect the differences in timing of permits and collections. I mean, activity is expected to change without the year. Hopefully, it will change by the next quarter.
Uh-oh.
Because you have this one.
We certainly don't want those equations. What do they mean? Oh, my. The mouse is back, yeah. Carol, can I ask you on that economic, on the sales tax, does that just reflect 1 month, which would be December? Because we end in November, so we got 300 and something for 1 month, so that's 8.4%. Okay. Of course, it was the holiday and people spend, so, okay.
So, well, December is 2 months prior. So the collection that you're looking at in December,
Oh.
it belongs to October. So that's why the October and November, we move it back to fiscal year 2025, because we are 2 months behind receiving the sales tax. So this sales tax that you're seeing is what we receive actually in October 2025.
October of 2025, okay. Okay, I thought.
For October.
Yes.
So what happens, Mayor, is the sales that
I know
occur in October don't get reported until November 20th. And then the state then has time to then remit that to us in the December timeframe.
But my question was, just reflects 1 month.
Correct.
So that's what I was thinking, that was a good, usually.
People start Christmas shopping maybe.
So, I mean, I just thought that was a lot of money for, yeah. I knew we were 2 months behind, but why I thought it was.
If you take a look at last fiscal year at this time, you were tracking at 8.3
Uh-huh,
as well.
yeah, right.
So overall, the trend is 1.86% higher than where we were on last fiscal year. On the expenditures, most of the departments are currently at or below the 25% budget mark. There are 2 exceptions. One of them is the Information Technology Department and the Special Events Department. Both of those departments are showing a lower expenditure on fiscal year 26 than on fiscal year 25. But if you look at the percentage is higher on fiscal year 26, and that is because the budget for those departments is being more restricted on fiscal year 2026. So the percentage goes up. Another exception is the Code and Animal Control. That's a new department for fiscal year 2026. That department used to be under the police. That's why on fiscal year 25 you don't see any expenditures.
Okay, so this is new for this year. We didn't have it in prior. Okay.
It was budgeted inside of the police.
But now you've separated it out, yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you for pointing that out. I missed that one. Okay.
Moving to the miscellaneous revenue breakdown, the huge difference that you see is the 1.9 million on the sale of property. This that not also includes the sales of the land, but it also have vehicles that we auction throughout the year of fiscal year 25. Moving to the water department, the water revenue total is 1 million as of December 2025, representing 19.3% of the fiscal year 26 budget. Overall collections are slightly lower than fiscal year 25 at this point. However, that's just activity activity with the customers that change throughout the year.
And Carol, I had asked you about connection and plating, and was that related to development?
Yes. So,
And we only have $375, so I mean, I was just curious why that's so low.
so connection and plating, yes, it's gonna be all the connections, one-time connections that we had.
Mhm.
It depends on the time of the year when people are starting to create new accounts.
Okay, all right.
Moving to the expenditures, water fund expenditures are 10.8%, or 660,000 for the fiscal year 26 budget. Mm. Spending continues to track within expected early year patterns, which is at the beginning of the year, most of the department heads, they don't want to spend all their money. They want to slowly start spending it, just in case there's, especially in the water department, just in case there's a huge expenditure that they're not foreseeing.
Excuse me,
Yes,
so,
Counselor Heil.
I'm sorry.
No,
thank
no,
you.
that's fine.
So we should see a big increase in the water and sewer sales as these new homes come on, is that correct?
That is correct. And we also see an increase during the summer months.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Thank
you'll
you.
also have an increase because you've also
Right.
Moving to the community center fund, the revenue has not been yet received for fiscal year 26 because we usually receive the revenue a month after the quarter ends. So as of December 2025, we have not received any revenue for the hotel motel taxes.
But when you get it, you'll get it for a quarter?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For the community center expenditures total 34,000 as of December 2025, representing 18.3% of the fiscal year 26 budget. Spending is slightly lower than the fiscal year 2025, and that is primarily to lower expenditures on supplies and capital outlay. Last year, we spent $10,000 on the restrooms for the community center, or conference center, but this year we have not. We didn't budget for that.
Okay, and do we have an estimate of what's in the reserve fund? I know we had one from 24, 930, 933, but I know we've spent money, so I was just curious as to
We
that.
will have the audit portfolio by the end of February, and that will give me the amount
Okay.
to update these fund balances. But as of September 2024, the community center had $294,000 on the reserve.
The community center, but then the economic development had the 925.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now the next one is gonna be the economic development. We collected roughly the same amount that we did last year on sales tax. The expenditures are slightly lower than fiscal year 25, and we're still within the mark of the 25% on expenditures. Moving to the impound lots, the revenues total 63,000 or 31% of the fiscal year 26 budget. Collections are higher than the same period last year, and this is due to the auctions. Last year, the first auction of the year was in January.
Okay.
This year, we had it in December, so those are the $21,000 that you see there. And then the impound lot fees increased from 41,000 to 28,000. And that's just activity of how many cars are being impounded by the city. And also how many days we have those cars with us.
Okay. Yes, Counselor Campos. Thank
So
you.
Carol, the impound lot fees went up 50% roughly from the prior year. So was it any of this due to we were during a construction period for the new impound lot? Are we taking in more cars number one? And two, is this the amount we actually collected?
So, we have impounded more cars than last year. That is true. And the other one, yes, that's the money that we have collected as, December 2025.
I just want to know, it's not a predictable revenue source. So we can pull over 100 cars, and if we pull over the 100 cars, sometimes that 100 results in 50 cars being impounded. But you can pull over 100 cars, and sometimes 2 cars are impounded out of that 100. So it just kind of depends on the stop. And so sometimes you can pull somebody over and they don't have insurance, or they're driving without a valid driver's license or something of that nature. And so then we impounded the vehicle. We keep the vehicle, some vehicles, they come right away to pick them up. Some vehicles we have for a few weeks because they have to wait to get the money to take their vehicle out. And so, again, it's just those kinds of, so sometimes people are like, can we predict an amount? And sometimes you can to a certain degree, we have like an average, but in this particular case, which is kind of a little bit of a luck of a draw, like we had so many traffic stops and we impounded vehicles due to the type of traffic stops we had. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay. Circumstances.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause-
The red light cameras, the total revenue is 604,000, which represents 28.4% of the fiscal year 2026. This is slightly higher, and I'm gonna show you on the next slide, the amount of tickets issued and tickets paid. What I do wanna talk about is the numbers at the bottom, the unaudited numbers. I wanna show you how we get them. The first one is the 556,000. It's gonna be your red light camera fines at the top. Then you have the 404,000, which is your tier 1. And then the 71,000 is the personnel share from the red light camera to the general fund. The 286,000 represents a full fiscal year. So as we're presenting only the December report, I divide that amount by the 12 months of the year, and then I multiply it by the amount of months that were presented. In this case, it's 3 months in the fiscal year: October, November, and December. And as we progress through the next quarters, and you'll see me here, and you see me in March, then we're gonna add another 3 months. And then you're gonna multiply that by 6 months, and so on, until we get to the 12 months.
Okay.
And so right now, just looking at those unaudited numbers, we have a loss of $32,000 on the red light camera fund. And moving to the red light tickets issued versus paid, for the first quarter of the year, we issued 18,177 tickets, and only 4,527 were paid.
Yeah. So that's an issue, for sure.
These are the fund balances as of 9/30/2024. I'm expecting to get the audit at the end of February, and so those amounts are gonna be updated once we receive the audit.
And then I just want to note, like economic development, the 925,000, just remember, when you start spewing out those numbers, you have projects that you
Yeah.
have pending. So you have
Gold's
the Gold's Gym, you have the Wiki, that are going to be paid out over a few years. And
right.
so that isn't taken off of this amount yet.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
That concludes the presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Certainly, any other questions from the council or from anyone in our chambers? Okay. Carol, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right. Then moving to presentation number 6.2, presentation providing an update on the Leon Valley housing developments. And we have our Planning and Zoning Director, Michael Gallardo, here this evening to present. Good evening, Michael, and welcome. Appreciate it.
I'm going to provide an update that was given to you all pretty much almost a year ago at the town hall meeting, I believe, by Susana Huerta. So I've just updated some of the
You
numbers.
updated that
for
one.
you.
Okay.
So we're going to look at the 3 developments. We have Sena 1 and 2 Trilogy, and then Seneca West, which is referred to as Seneca Trails, Phase 1 and 2. So Senate One, which is the Post Landing subdivision, we're looking at 10 acres that were platted in June of 2024. We're expecting 87 housing units to be constructed. So these were the variances that were attached to that PDD. We had the lot, total of 3,150 square feet. There was a street variance giving it a total of 30 feet in width, which would require no parking on one side. And then the tree variance basically covered the removal of 30 medium, 14 large, and 9 heritage trees. So then in essence, they were required to plant 1 10-gallon and 1 20-gallon for each lot, which comes out to a total of 174. They also had to pay a mitigation fee, which you'll see the number there, $135,150. So the builder for this project is Century Communities. So currently, the permits issued for that community are 65. And last year at this time, there were only 25 issued.
Okay.
Okay, so that's actually phase one, right? So if we move on to phase two, you're gonna see that it's almost 6 acres, which were platted in October of 2024.
Excuse me just a second, I'm sorry. Counselor Mersch had a question. I just saw her hand.
Do we have any information about how many of those houses are now occupied?
You know, we don't because,
On phase one is what you're
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah, on phase one.
Right.
yeah, because unlike some other cities, like the city of Leon Valley doesn't issue certificate of occupancies for that. So, I mean, I could get that information if I went to their sales team or actually went door to door, but we don't, like in our
Okay.
software, we don't statistically have that.
I'd be interested in seeing that as we move along, because that's really the impact to the city in terms of fire, police, whatever. It's the occupied houses that we want to really keep track of, how quickly they're selling them and people are moving in.
Yeah, it's just important to note, like Michael mentioned, we don't do certificate of occupancy on homes. We've attempted it a couple of times. You don't know your entire city, right? You don't, I mean, Forest Oaks probably has half Forest Oaks empty. I don't know, you know what I mean, or a quarter or whatever. So you don't know that for any other subdivision. So even though you're adding here, I don't know how many in the old home are vacant homes. You have a lot of vacant homes here. So I don't know it'd be a hard comparison to kind of do because we don't know which homes are occupied with people, because you do have some short-term rentals here. So just so you know, there's an error in the calculation when we're looking at bringing new homes in. But we can definitely reach out to the sales team and get you that number if that's something you need. But I just wanted you to
Go
know.
ahead.
Well, I do understand that. I'm thinking more of are we seeing the anticipated impact on the traffic and those other pieces that we looked at when initially approving these subdivisions, and how it would impact a certain area of Leon Valley or whatever. So that's my curiosity more than total, making sense of the whole city, because I understand what you're saying.
Okay. But yes, we can reach out to the
I
sales
had a
team.
note also of traffic. What's the traffic impact with the 67 homes now, or however many we've gotten? And then I'm also curious, are they parking on one side?
Yeah.
Are we getting,
So-
I know that's part
So
of the
we'll
development.
get a little bit better feeling on the parking situation when the housing is completely developed, because we have a lot of contractors and stuff still out there, so we have parking kind of weird. That's one. Two, we had said we would do a new traffic analysis at the completion of the council, and this is before this council, but had said they would consider doing another traffic analysis after the trilogy was completed. So, because trilogy is a little bit behind phase one of Senate One. So, once that gets completed, I'd bring to council an item to take a look at a traffic study in regards to that.
Okay. So we have Counselor Orozco and then Counselor Campos. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Michael. I know that the phase one, they got about maybe to 80 to 90% done. Have they given you any idea of when they're gonna start phase two?
So right now, currently as we speak, phase two is, they have their site work permit under review. So there's a few items that they owe the city, but once we get past that, I'm saying maybe within the March timeframe, they'll break ground on that part.
And you know that, I've talked to some of the neighbors, or they're my new neighbors now, they're only about half a block away from me. And I did talk to him, ask him, how difficult is it for you going in and out of your subdivision? And so far, there's no complaints.
Okay.
So, that's a good thing. But yes, I think they're doing a great job, and hopefully we can populate our city and bring new Leon Valley-ites here.
Okay, very good, thank you. Yes, Counselor Campos.
So I was trying to figure out how many houses have been sold. So I went to the Bear Appraisal District, and I pulled the ownership and values, and it looks like, to me, from the data I have, is like 22 homes have been sold. That's what it looks like, because they have individual owners.
Correct.
And then what
Even though,
only 12 appear to have a full cycle of property taxes, because when they first buy them, it's really the cost, the value is the land, okay? The next tax year, what I show is there's 12 that now have a full valuation. So that's what I found in my research in this subdivision.
did you have a value, though, of that?
They're ranging from a low of 283,000 to looks like a high of 373.
Okay.
Now, not knowing, I didn't go into the detail as to
Right.
do they have a homestead exemption
or
and so forth.
veterans or
That I
something,
can't, I didn't have time to go into that. So.
And I think to get a better picture of the whole packet, as far as like whether traffic is gonna be impacted and all these things, even to your point, the homes being sold, we'll have to wait till this phase is primarily complete so that we can get a better understanding, because even though those homes are sold, they may be vacant at this time. You know what I mean? So we won't have a good understanding of traffic and all that until, like I said, they break ground on phase 2.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So speaking of phase 2, this is about just shy of 6 acres, platted in October 2024 for an anticipated 49 housing units. So again, we look at the variances that were tied to this PDD. We're looking at 3,150 square feet for their lot. Street width is 30 feet, again, no parking on one side. So as part of their tree variance, they were allowed to remove 22 medium, 72 large, and 21 heritage trees. And then as a result of that, they would have to plant 2 trees on each lot and 52 trees for landscaping. They also had to pay $85,200 in tree mitigation fees. Again, this is the builder Century Homes. Yes, ma'am.
And I was going to say, and so, but it's the same builder for phase 1 and phase 2. So it was $85,200 for tree for this one, but I thought it was $135,000.
For the other
So
one.
I mean, they're paid over $200,000
Yes.
to remove those trees.
And tree mitigation fees. correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I know they planted some too, but still that mitigation fees is what stands out for me.
Yep.
Okay.
So what I did is I just kind of compiled some of the pictures that we had of the sites in January 2025. So this is going to be primarily Senate 1, because if you look at Senate 2, they haven't really done any kind of work there. So this is what it looked like in 2025. And if you look at 2026, you'll see that there's some additional houses that have been built. It's a few more pictures of the development for you. These are current. And then the next one is going to be Trilogy, right? So Trilogy is roughly just under 10 acres. It's platted in January 2024. We're looking to build 67 homes there. The lot width, due to the PDD, ended up being at 2,970 square feet. The street width on this one is going to be 28 feet. The tree variance that went with this one allowed them to remove 70 medium, 148 large, and 9 heritage trees. And as a result, they had to plant 85 1.5-inch trees, and they had to pay a $25,000 mitigation fee. The home builder in this.
Excuse me just a second.
Yes, go ahead.
Counselor Merce has a comment or question.
So a couple of things strike me. One, we have a narrower street variance, but we don't specify that parking's only allowed on one side of the street. And it is glaring, the small amount of tree mitigation fees that were paid in this situation versus what was paid in Senna 1 and 2 for, you know, even comparing the number of trees or the fact that this is a smaller acreage or whatever, it's astounding how little they were allowed to pay into the mitigation fee.
Mayor, so I just
Yes.
catch everybody up. This particular property, because they had the option of putting apartments, the council negotiated more to have houses there, so they gave up a lot more in order for houses to go there and not apartments. So I just want to make that clear, because they had the right to put in apartments, which would have been more cost effective for them to put in the apartments there. But because they wanted to work out a deal with the city to get something that was a little bit more cohesive for the area residents, the council did give up more in that negotiation in regards to some of those things in order for apartments not to go there. So I just wanted to give that bit of history.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. You have a follow-up?
So is the street width an issue for the fire department?
Yeah.
If
No,
there's,
I mean, no, it's a tight squeeze, definitely. We were in there for something like not too long ago. I think it was National Night Out or something, and the fire truck was parked in the street, and I was trying to go by, and I'm like, ooh, if somebody was coming the other direction. So it is a tight, in my opinion, it's a tight squeeze. We had this conversation multiple times, not only with this project, but Seneca West and Senna. Fire chief came up and, you know, he has a minimum that he likes. Again, the project was adopted with those variances.
With no restrictions on parking on this one, like you pointed out, Counselor?
Right.
Okay.
So my only thinking is that they, you know, have to utilize their driveways and garages, obviously. But that was what was negotiated back then, so.
Now, like the fire chief always likes to say, he will get to that address, so.
Okay, thank you.
So you park at your own risk. No. So at the time that this was first presented, there was only 5 permits issued. Currently, there's 14.
Yeah, it seems to be developing at a much slower pace than Senna. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know their methodology as far as like how they
Okay.
do it. Like, I don't know if they build them and then sell them or.
Okay. Counselor Heil?
I think what's happening is the ones on Hebner, they're just putting them up. The ones on the Trilogy Grove, they're putting them up as they're sold or under contract.
Okay, so
And that
that's
way
the
the people
difference.
can choose what they want in the house.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
thank you for that. Okay.
So I'm going to share some pictures. Again, this is January 2025. Some aerial views there. This is this year, January 2026.
Mm.
Sure you got to see that. And then the last development, this is Seneca West. So I kind of put them together because it's Seneca Trails Phase 1 and 2. So we're looking at combined 39 acres located at 6518 and 6530 Samaritan Road, Samaritan Drive. And these were platted in November 2024 for Phase 1, August 2025 for Phase 2, and we're looking at a total of 380 homes to be built. So again, the lot sizes were reduced to 4,500 square feet. Street variance is not applicable. For the tree variance, the removal of 24 medium, 21 large, and 36 heritage trees. So they are going to plant 410 of 1.5-inch trees and pay $50,000 in tree mitigation. So this reduced the number and size of the required new trees from 200 at a minimum 1.5, and they had to pay a tree mitigation of $25,000. In this particular case, D.R. Horton will be building the homes for both phases. Currently, as we stand, we have 10 applications under review for D.R. Horton.
Mr.
Yes,
Gallardo, I thought they had different lot sizes. I thought they were smaller. 3,000, you know, so I don't understand the 4,500 square feet. That's, you know, I thought it was like the other ones. And then they have one section that has R1, but I went by there this evening and they haven't cut the trees or anything like that. So is that phase 3 for the R1, I guess? I don't.
They only have 2 phases, but yet there's some that are 4,500 other lot sizes for phase one.
I could have sworn
Yeah,
we had,
I think
it was real small.
it's a range.
Yes, it's a range, but,
So let me get that for y'all. and we'll-
okay, yeah. Yes, Counselor Marsh.
Again, it jumps out at me that they're only paying either 50,000 or 75,000 in tree mitigation, and when you look at 36 heritage trees that were taken down, that's pretty sad. And I don't know that there were any special deals with that, just that the previous council gave the developer a lot of leeway, in my opinion.
And then there was a separate agreement with the property owner, and they did pay an additional 20,000 as part of the 20,000 tree mitigation as part of that agreement for the because it was a city-owned property, so they paid a separate portion for trees in that agreement as well. And I want to say it was 20,000 on top of
Okay.
that.
Did you have a comment? Yes, Counselor Campos.
I know it's not part of this information, and thank you for this presentation, but is it my understanding that the spaces between some of these homes are a total of 5 feet between homes? Because it seems like when I went by Senna, I could touch both homes with both my hands.
I have to go look at the plan.
I'm almost sure that they were that small, too.
They were very, yeah, they were supposed, like, they're on top of each other, we had lots of conversations of firewall, but they're not, I don't think they're 5 feet, but I've got to go look and see what that is, and we can
It's not
certainly
gonna
send
be
that
your
out.
standard setbacks for sides, front, or rear.
And I think what they did was reduce the setback requirements, but I don't remember off the top, I'd have to go pull that, so I'll send that to y'all.
Based on the development, they would have to shrink everything down.
Okay. I was just curious about that section that's not, the trees aren't raised yet, you know, what,
It's gonna be our one,
that
they
was
just,
the R1, but.
yeah, we talked about it a little bit, it's probably gonna be the R1, but like I said before, it's probably gonna be, they build the smaller homes, gain sales on that, and then build the R1 homes.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to say Leon Valley did make the Business Journal last week, and that was, we went from, I don't know, 2 homes to 10 homes or something in 1 year, and so it was like a 237% increase or something. I'm like, oh, okay. So I meant to cut that out and bring it, but anyway.
Do you
So-
anticipate with this one, once they get their model home up, that the process is gonna be pretty quick?
Yeah.
It'll be a lot like Century Community. Oh, so there you go, Mayor. So, the R1 is the one in the front portion of it, and so I have to go back and look what they said the lot size was gonna be. But if you take a look at the bottom, you have 146 homes at 30-foot lot sizes, 219 at 40 lots, and 15 homes at 60. So I'd have to go back and get the actual square footage for you.
All right, thank you. I knew that there were smaller lots.
Yeah,
though,
I mean,
so,
there
yeah.
was, it was the range of 3, that was what was negotiated, but we'll get that range for you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
I do,
Counselor-
Mayor, thank you.
Counselor Orozco.
And thank you, Michael. I was going to do this in announcements so I can give the city manager a shout out, but I'll go ahead and do it now because it involves this. Havona Place Homeowners Association just voted to buy the cluster boxes for the mailboxes. They've been broken into, and they finally, the HOA finally voted to get them. And where I'm going with this is that there's many lessons learned, Michael, as far as the boxes are concerned, with insurance, the post office, who's going to be responsible for it, what's going to happen, and there's a lot of lessons learned as far as I think they're going to have HOAs, is that right, Dr. Cardetta? So is there something they put in their deed restrictions beforehand as far as who's responsible for those cluster boxes when they break into them, or how to go about it to put it in their insurance so when they do break into them, they don't have to fork out $8,000 to get them replaced. So there's some lessons learned. My wife Yvonne has been articulate about it. She's in the board of directors there, and it is very intensive. But if we can be proactive and to let these developers know, say, hey, if you can put this in your deed restrictions for the HOA, if you can do this with your insurance, it'll save you a huge heartache. I'm more than glad to go with it, or maybe that's the professional, my wife, that's been doing this for months and months. And the shout out that I was gonna do is to Dr. Cardetta, because when they were going through this difficult time, they were not getting their mail, and the post office has the audacity to say, we're not gonna hold your mail anymore, we're gonna send it back to the sender. So people weren't getting their bills, they weren't getting their medications, they weren't, but Dr. Cardetta did send, a letter to the General, and they extended it for another 90 days. So thank you, Dr. Cardetta, for doing that. But this is where I was going with that. If we can go ahead and talk to the developers and say, hey, you know, this is a big issue. Congress is trying to get it done, but they're not being very successful on it. But if you be proactive when you get, and you open HOA, you put in your deed restrictions or your insurance, it may save you a lot of heartache.
All right, yes, Counselor Marsh.
I think there was also discussion about the location of the cluster mailboxes and making sure that they weren't near
Visible.
the entrance or where they were easily accessible, but more in the interior of the subdivision, which would be a good, recommendation for the developer also.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you. If there's not any other questions or concerns, we'll go to the next. Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so just some other pictures here. Okay. Red curbs. Okay. All righty. All right, thank you so much. We'll move then to presentation 6.3, presentation on the citywide diseased dead trees inventory. And we have our new Public Works Director, Dave Demeline, here this evening to present.
Mayor, before we get started on this item, I just want to give a brief history because that's not in his presentation. So the question came out from the council in regards to whether or not we can use public funds to cut down dead trees. And in discussions with the attorney at that meeting, he said we really couldn't use public funds to help an individual homeowner. But if it impacted the public, we could possibly use city funds to remove the tree if we thought it was going to fall on a roadway or a sidewalk. And so we had Dave Demeline and Public Works go through the city and look at all the trees that could possibly fall in a roadway or sidewalk that can hurt somebody, from the general public. And then we also took a look at our own right-of-way and trees that are dead in their own right-of-way. The only thing that's not in here are the dead trees in the natural area, and when we get to a certain slide, I'll bring up what the cost is on that. Okay, go ahead, David.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And
Council.
welcome.
So we, as Dr. Caldera mentioned, City Council requested an inventory of dead and diseased trees, ones that could potentially fall across a sidewalk or a street, possibly causing harm to pedestrians and motorists. So there's a total of, actually it's about 45 locations. We looked at all 13 neighborhoods, and we identified putting together an inventory, if you will, of trees by address. And we also looked if the trees fell within the right-of-way versus private property. And then we did we didn't measure each tree, but we did an evaluation of each size of tree. And then we put together an estimate for the removal. And so this estimate for the trees that fall within the right-of-way, it would be about $34,500. Trees that were located on private property, if you will, is $59,000 for a total of $93,500. And I just want to footnote that these are estimates. We didn't have an actual estimate for each tree, but in using a contractor that we've used in the past, based on the size of each tree, I assigned a dollar amount as an estimate for this. So I just wanted to make note of that.
But can I just say, the city is the city responsible for the right-of-way cost of removal? And on the privately owned, that would be the individual homeowner, right?
No, so the question came up because people were saying that it was too expensive to remove these trees. And so The city right-of-way trees are 100%
Right.
our responsibility, and we should fund to get those right-of-way trees taken down.
Right.
The privately owned trees is gonna cost us roughly 59,000. Now, we would go, we can do it one or two ways. We can go in and remove them just because they're gonna impact a public right-of-way, and we leave it at that. And in speaking with Art, we could technically use tree mitigation funds if we plant a tree in its place, but we'd have to get the homeowner to agree to it. So we could remove the tree and then plant a tree, and you could use some tree mitigation money to be able to do that, right? Because that's what tree mitigation is replacing the trees. You can do it that way, or you could do it where you removed the tree and then charge the homeowner an invoice, and then they would be responsible for replacing it. So we are talking kind of two different things. This is trees on private property that can impact public right-of-way. Then you have dead trees on private property that aren't gonna impact the public but could fall on their house or their property. Those are separate dead trees. They're still a violation, but they're not in this count, if that makes sense.
Not in that count.
Nope. So like you
Okay.
have a house that I can think of that's on a dare that has a large lot property, but on that particular property, there's a couple of dead trees, but there's only, I think, 2 trees that could fall in the sidewalk or the tree, or the street. The other trees are dead, but they're not, if they fell over, they would fall over that's not included in this
Okay.
count. So
Okay.
it's up to you. I would put together more of like a program or policy on how we would handle but that would be a council decision on how you wanna handle that. If you wanna go in and mitigate that, and then send the invoice to the homeowner, and they decide not to pay that invoice, then you would put a lien on that property. Or because it's impacting right-of-way, you could take it out and just say it was impacting right-of-way, kind of like what CPS is going around doing and cutting it because it's impacting their line, and you can leave it at that. So, that would be a separate discussion on a policy decision for y'all, and a program we would put together for y'all. But this was just to give you an idea of the cost and about how many trees we have out there. The other thing that's not included here, and this is the one I was gonna comment on, last year we gave y'all projected cost to remove the dead trees in the natural area. That's not in this cost, and that's about, Melinda, got an estimate for about 90,000 to go in there and clear it out. In speaking with Public Works, we do think we can do some of them internally, so it may lower that cost a little bit. But I know when we talked to the Historical Society the last time, there was some concern with some of the dead trees provide some natural vegetation for some of the insects and stuff down there. So I don't know, I don't want to go in and take out all the dead trees and then, so that we would have to kind of come to an agreement on that. But I do think we need to address the dead trees in the natural area.
If you've been into the natural area, which I go quite often, the trees are down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, David, you probably, I mean, now there are some trees that are still standing, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of trees that are, I mean, that are just dead, and they're just.
Right. I would just
I
hate
guess
to
I hear
go-
what you're saying. They
Yeah.
don't want to remove it because of the.
I know when we had the
impact it has.
conversation, we moved some off the trail last
Yeah.
summer. And after the.
Well, for sure.
After the
Uh-huh.
California fires, we were kind of in that momentum to get them removed, but then the council saw the sticker price and got a little nervous with that. But with Bare Branches Alliance agreeing to plant trees in there, I think you saw how much money you have in tree mitigation funds. I think we could do a removal and a planting situation in there. Because we're not technically cutting down the trees, they're already fallen, they're removing.
Most of
So-
them have, not a lot of them have fallen, yeah.
So I do think I'd have to consult with the attorney, but I do think you could probably use a little bit of those funds to plant trees, because say you removed the 10 trees that have fallen, you plant 10 trees in their place, probably work out something. But it is a different discussion, but I just
Yeah.
wanted you all to
Okay.
know that is not
90,000.
in this dollar amount.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So that's, I'm
Okay.
available for any questions, Mayor and Council.
Okay,
Thank
yes,
you.
Counselor Orozco.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just two things. My neighbor's tree fell on my truck a couple of months ago, and he was asking whether he should cut the whole tree down. I didn't know how to advise him. We're not asking for he's not asking for the city to cut it down, because I'll help him cut it down and we'll dispose of it. But he doesn't know whether it will still live. Does anybody go by there and just say, hey, you know what, yeah, it's to your best to cut it down? So I don't know if you guys provide that service or not. I know you're not, but
We don't have a an
Arborist,
arborist on
yeah,
staff,
mhm.
but
Mhm.
we have worked with the Texas A&M Forest Service on our property, like for trees, so.
Yes, sir.
But I could provide him the information, the contact that he could get
Okay.
a
Oh,
hold
I
of
can
that
give it to
person.
him, yeah.
Or provide that to you. That would probably be the best
Okay.
avenue.
Yeah, and I can't guarantee whether or not they'll come out and look at an individual property owner, or if they would charge or not charge. They do help us out with our tree mapping, but I don't know if they'll come and do that service for free. You know, if we have all these people start calling to come diagnose their trees, I don't know how many they would do.
All right, and the second one is, can you go to the first panel, please?
The first,
Of all the subdivisions that you,
oh, yeah. Mhm.
oh, okay, right there. Before, I know I'm gonna hear it, from some of my neighbors. It's Pavona Place, not Pavona
Pavona
Ridge.
Ridge.
I'm sorry,
right.
that's a typo.
And,
They're always,
yeah, so, yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna definitely hear about it, but if we
Sorry.
can fix that, I know, when the fire department goes through Santa Claus, it has Pavona Ridge on there as well.
I don't know where
So-
that came from. We've done that too,
Well,
yes.
there is a street called
Thank-
Pavona Ridge.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, because I get that all the time, too, yeah.
I'll make that correction,
Um,
thank you.
Do you, now you just say these locations, but do you have a dot on a map of where these are? I mean,
We
or
basically
what
have
did
a
you
list
just-
of
did
all
you-
the addresses,
oh,
so
the
we haven't mapped
addresses.
it, but.
Okay, you haven't
but
mapped
we
it,
have
so the addresses, okay. All right, sounds good. Anything, yes, Counselor Heil.
Counselor Roscoe, maybe you could just take a picture of the tree and send it to the Texas A&M and see what they think of it?
You could also
That-
take a picture of the tree, upload it in ChatGPT and ask it.
That's right. And
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that,
okay,
that's
I guess
beyond-
we can do that,
it-
yeah.
it- well, anyway.
Because now it's not only leaning towards the driveway, it's leaning towards the house, the other, was it different?
And I was just recalling, I thought we had tried to apply for a grant for an arborist. Did we try
Yes.
to do that? I
Yeah.
thought last year. I hadn't heard.
We did, so the application, I believe it's still being under review.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to let people know. I know that's what, I mean, y'all, we are a proactive community, and so we know we need an arborist and that we have applied for a grant, but I just hadn't heard if we,
Yeah, I think it's still pending. I haven't
Okay,
gotten, normally I
all
get
right.
an email,
Very
but
good.
let me follow up with that
okay,
too, Mayor.
thank
with
you, I
that.
appreciate it.
Follow
Yes,
up.
thank you. Counselor Campos.
I do want to commend y'all for reaching out to, there was a duplex that was on Evers Road that had a
Oh, yeah.
significant amount of dead trees in its
That was in
property.
December.
And it has
Wow.
been a danger for some time, and I'm glad y'all reached out to the owner of the property, and they agreed to take that down voluntarily. So thank y'all for reaching out for that again.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking for a little bit of direction. Do y'all want to pursue this? Do you want me to put together a program where where the city covers the cost? Are y'all looking at invoicing the homeowner? Is it something that y'all don't want to consider right now? So just a little bit of direction.
The Evers property, did we invoice the?
We didn't cut down those trees, they cut down their
They
trees.
cut, that's
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
I remember you told me, I thought, I saw one of our cars, but it was, our trucks, but it wasn't cutting down the trees, it was more trying to get.
Yeah,
more
they went, I
access
think
on
they just went by
Evers.
there to check
Yeah,
because it was,
mhm.
I just had them
So
go
I
by there
thought
to
it was
check. Yeah.
us.
No, we didn't cut
Yeah.
down those trees.
Okay, so yes, Counselor Campos, what do you think?
Is it a possibility, rather than making a decision tonight,
Yeah.
maybe you can share the locations and
Mhm.
possibly, if we are interested, we can drive by to kind of get a better understanding of what this is saying to us.
Mhm.
Okay? And that way, maybe we can make a better informed decision
Mhm.
at a later
Mhm.
date. This is important. We want to take it up, but I think we don't have enough at least I don't have enough information to be able to say yay or nay, but I'm in favor of some program, but I just don't know what, okay?
And also the cost associated with that property, taking it down. So then we could prioritize what are the worst ones? I don't know.
Well, you can't. So it's an you can't cherry
Oh, it's
pick.
all or nothing, okay.
Yes,
it's
ma'am,
all or
you
nothing.
cannot
Okay.
you can't do it for one property and single that one property owner out. Like, you're either gonna do it for all or not.
So then
On the
that's gonna be
right of way is different, you can do that in zones if you wanted to do
Yeah.
that in zones. But on people's private property, if you're gonna take that option up, you can't cherry pick.
No, I thought the 38 locations, was that all on private property there? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? On the 13th, okay. And then the tree,
And I would love to say we're the best, so there may be trees we missed as well, but we'll get you the list of addresses.
okay, thank you.
Definitely
Okay.
provide that.
All right, very good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, David. Do appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. So, we're going then to announcements at 7:36 PM. Okay. I was going to ask, on the garbage schedule, because we had a holiday on Monday, I just want to be sure we're moving one day
Yeah, it
back.
should be one day,
Yeah,
but I
because
can-
all my neighbors have their garbage out for tomorrow, and I'm like, no. So they didn't get the message, but anyway, just want to be sure. First of all, I'd like to just thank the staff and the city council members who financially supported the retirement party for Melinda last week. It was wonderful. It was beautiful, and video and their family, and it was just a lot of old, but former employees that came back. It was good to see everybody, and so thank you for doing that, Crystal and the staff. It was and I think all the council was here, except I did let them know, Danielle, that you got tied up with school. So, and you sent your best wishes. So thank you for that. Okay, we're still going to push the 16th annual town hall meeting this Saturday, the 24th at 8:30 in the community center, not the conference center this year, but the community center. And I think everybody got their postcard. Okay, mine came on Saturday, I think, of last week. So, and it's got, everything that's going to be discussed, and with approximate time, so that if you feel like you can't go to all of it, but you want to go to, one or two, so that was the purpose of that. So I want to thank the staff for putting this together and getting it out in a timely fashion, and we hope to have a good turnout. We will serve coffee and a light breakfast, so, but we had a question about the weather this evening. It's going to be chilly and maybe icy with some rain, but we don't know. So, but Dr. Caldera said everybody would be coming from about a 5-mile radius from Leon Valley, so.
With the exception of the speakers, so, I mean, there could be a
The speakers
problem.
and the staff members too, you come from a little bit further out, so. But I think we just need to kind of keep it, don't y'all think, just to see how it goes? I think it's a little bit too late to
Yeah, I
cancel.
think it's kind of late to try and cancel it or postpone it, and
Yeah.
I think we're gonna lose as many citizens attending one way or the other, whether we reschedule it and they didn't, don't know
Okay.
about it, or the ones that are gonna be kept away because it's cold or it's raining or whatever. So, and this is the most promotion I've ever seen for a town hall meeting, so I think we need to kind of go with the initiative that's been started with the postcards and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, we've had the postcards for quite
forever.
some time, yeah.
We've done
But-
postcards, lines,
yeah.
Roar Marquees. We did the same
We've
promotion.
done
We've
robocalls,
done
I mean,
robocalls,
we've done it all.
The other
Yeah.
thing, if y'all feel like, the attendance is low and the presentations are worth repeating, we can always repeat them at a future coffee. We can repeat them at a council meeting, things of that nature, so.
And we will be having it recorded by
Yes,
YouTube, so we
well,
can play
we-
that, hopefully.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah,
All right.
no, our plan is yes, but I mean, as you could see this evening,
Okay.
we had some time.
Just real quick, Mayor,
Yes.
sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
got a couple of notices from several citizens that they don't have a video available.
They're not. That's what I just said earlier. We have technical difficulties. Just let them know the video will be up tomorrow. She'll upload it tomorrow morning. Our old system is working, our new system is not. And so I know that's gonna be, if Mr. Martinez is gonna call me and say, we've said we're gonna replace, it's not the old system, it's the new system. It's not connecting with YouTube or streaming, it's Cablecast. And so, my apologies, but we will get it up and running. It is by no way my idea to deflect any of the conversation this evening, but we
Okay.
will get it posted first thing tomorrow.
All right, very
Thank you,
good.
ma'am.
Yes, thank you for that. I just wanted to announce, because I've been a member of the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization for quite some time, and our longtime executive director, Sid Martinez, resigned last December, just retired. He didn't resign, he retired after 20 years, and so we went through a national search, over 30 qualified candidates, And we had 3 rounds of interviews, ranging from, their technical and leadership qualities, a comprehensive case study focused on MPO leadership, organizational management, and regional collaboration. And the executive committee, which I'm a member of representing the suburban cities, we recommended to the full board, and they'll vote on it this coming Monday, the 26th, at our monthly meeting, a gentleman named Mr. Brandon Wheeler, and he has 16 years of experience. He's a actual he's an engineer, PE. I guess is that civil? I guess it's civil, right? PE. He's an engineer, and he's had 16 years of experience in transportation engineering and regional planning at the North Central Texas Council of Government. What I learned, because we also interviewed somebody from Denver, a lot of cities put their MPOs within their COGs, like ours is Alamo Area Council of Governments, but we're separate. Our MPO is separate from that, but this is within the North Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it's recognized as one of the most innovative and highly performing MPOs in the United States. And so he comes with a lot of experience, and he's really tall, like Wembiana, Wemby. He's huge. He's way up there. But anyway, he's a very nice man. He's married and has 3 kids, and got to know him a little bit better. And his father was, his parents were missionaries, and so he was raised like in Turkey, in that region. And so he's got a very interesting perspective about, he's got a world perspective, I guess you would say. But I really enjoyed meeting him, and his quote was, "My focus when he comes, he'll start on February 2nd, and he'll be introduced at the meeting next week." He says, "My focus will be on listening, supporting the team, and working collaboratively to advance AAMPO's mission and priorities." So we welcome him, Mr. Wheeler, next week, and then on February 2nd. But also we wanted to extend our thanks to Sonia Jimenez, who still is our deputy director, but she was the interim director for the last year, just functioning very well. And she was a finalist, but anyway, the board chose Mr. Wheeler primarily for, I think, anyway, we won't say why, but it's just, anyway, but we do appreciate her very much as well. Let's see. Counselor Heil's going to talk about the PIT. I wanted to just make a note that the fire department, in your report today, I just jumped out at me that said they're very, very low on items for their blessing box. And so they're requesting donations from, non-perishable food and diapers and baby formula and blankets and dry goods. And so if anyone can help, I know the fire department would really appreciate it, and I'm going to make a note of it as well. And also the fire department is scheduling 4 blood drives this year, and the first one is going to be held tomorrow, January 21st, at the City Hall parking lot from 9 to 1. So please come by and save a life. And I also congratulate Dave Demeline, who will be appointed as our Public Works Director this evening. Much deserved honor for your many, many years of service working under Melinda Mortz. So we do appreciate you and look forward to working with you and whoever will replace you. We don't know that yet. So anyway, so that's all I have. So I know everybody else has. Counselor Heil, do you want to go next?
We lost one of our longtime Leon Valley residents last Friday night, Obie Colton, who lived on my street.
Oh.
He was 93.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
he was
that.
always in the yard. He was always out there to greet us walkers. Every morning he had something nice to say.
Mhm.
And he was still driving. And at 93, he was a deacon in his church, and he drove himself to church every Sunday. So I'll really miss seeing him out there. The other thing is, which I'm not good at, I have a bunch of drugs at the house that have expired, prescription medicines, aspirins, whatever. So I decided it was time to go through them. So now you have this big bag of drugs. What do? You don't know. HEB has a little bag that you put them in to put in water. I actually took them to, you'll take them? Wonderful. because I ended up taking them to Walgreens or something and dropping them in the box. And, I mean, they were real good. I just took them and dropped them in. Well, that's good to know. That's something maybe we could put in.
Come on, Chief, because y'all are so good about, and I think you have an envelope, yeah.
Bags at
Uh-huh.
every location in the city. The library, the conference center, the community center, fire department, city hall. And we have bags that you just simply dump your drugs into, bottles and all, tear off the label, drop them in the
Oh,
mailbox.
okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Mhm.
Maybe
No
we-
paperwork, no nothing, and you can fill 50 of them if that's what you
Okay,
want.
that's good to know.
But if you need help with it, you can bring me a bag to the fire station, and I will sit there and put them in envelopes and
It
stuff
took
them
it-
in the
it-
mailbox.
I don't know where all that medicine came from, but it's all gone.
But for anybody,
Mhm.
Right.
But you're saying the bottle too, or just
I-
you, or just dump
No.
the
no, I put
bottle,
the bottle
everything?
and
Okay,
everything in.
okay.
As long as you take your name off.
No,
You don't
No,
have to
it's
take your
Don't
name
have
off?
to take your name.
Okay.
by mail to Houston, and the pharmacy school in Houston destroys it all.
Oh,
We
wonderful.
haven't had any repercussions from it.
Great.
Nobody's ever called.
Great.
Maybe that's something we can put out on,
Mhm.
We
I will.
send it out all the time.
Well, and you always are at Earthwise Living Day
Yep.
with your,
Really?
with your,
you know, I never knew.
yeah. mhm,
So that's
with your
good to know.
envelopes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've used them a lot.
Great.
We have them, you can get them when you walk out, if you walk out the front door, or Saturday at the community center.
Mhm.
They're hanging on the wall. The seniors let me know if they're low.
Oh,
They
okay.
use a lot.
All right, thank you.
That's good to know.
Appreciate that.
The other thing, the mayor and I will be participating in the point in time, the pit
Mhm.
count of the homeless people in our neighborhoods. And it's going to be Monday night, and it's guaranteed to be cold.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night,
Mhm,
excuse
the
me. I
27th.
was going to go Monday.
Oh, no, don't go, because I want you to go with me.
That's right. And it's guaranteed to be very cold. It was
Yeah.
so cold last year when we did it.
It's really
But it was
cold.
such an experience that I am more than willing to do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see. But we've been taking classes, and we've been struggling with that.
Mhm.
So, but we're going to get there. So
Yeah,
if you see us out in the street Tuesday, that's what we're doing out there.
right.
So
5 to 10.
5 to 10,
Mhm,
that's right.
Exactly. Okay, thank you so much. All right, Counselor Campos, and then Counselor.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this is our first meeting since the holidays, I wanted to, extend thanks again to the fire department for their Blue Santa program and the fire trucks going throughout the community, even though they
Nice.
have we had Pavona Ridge listed, it
No,
was
no.
Pavona.
Pavona Place.
So that's first thing. The second thing, Mayor, thank you for pointing out about the 4 blood drives, and tomorrow starts the first one. And then I want to also thank the staff. You know, we've received a grant in the amount of $590,000 for a sewer main for Locker Lane. This is one of the few communities that didn't have a sewer line. They were all on septic. So this is the opportunity for them to connect to the sewer line. It's not free, but at least now they have the ability to do that. I think they may be the last, is it the last community within our?
Yeah, that doesn't have sewer going through. I know that there's some discussion about the cost of the impact fees to the homeowner to connect. We did reach out to see if we could use some of the grant funds to cover that cost. They said it would be individually evaluated, so if the homeowner was on like disability or elderly, based on their income, it could possibly pay for that, but it would be done on a one-on-one individual basis. And so Melinda's supposed to be reaching out, or was supposed to be reaching out, so I got to follow up with David, to those homeowners that think that they may need some financial assistance, so we could get with Bear County to see if they'll cover those individual impact fees.
So
That was CDBG grant,
Yes, ma'am.
so that is income-based, right?
Yes.
The area.
Correct.
In order to get that
Mhm,
grant.
But not everybody that lives on Locker Lane may qualify for their impact fees to be
Okay.
covered. So we would have to handle it
Okay.
on an individual basis. So she was gonna reach out to it's not a lot of homes, but she was gonna reach out to the homeowners that lived on Locker Lane, to see if they wanted to get
Okay.
some assistance to connect.
Very
So-
good. Okay,
But
thank you for that.
For my colleagues and those in the audience, you see, this is why I want to highlight something like this, because it's just not the grant, but our staff is trying to help our residents here in any way possible. thinking outside the box. So thank you for doing that. And then the last thing, I just want to thank the members of the police department for all their efforts through every day, 24/7, for protecting our community. So thank you, Chief. It's not that I don't single your department out. I'm always talking about the fire department because we see in the manager's report a little bit clearer than going to another link.
Okay. Did you have a follow-up? And
I
then
just had one
Counselor
other note.
Orozco.
The post office is delivering the postcards. However, they don't get them all in the right boxes. I got 2 in the same
Uh-oh.
day. And so I took it to who it belonged to.
That was the town hall meeting postcard? Okay, very good. Thanks for doing that.
No, I get that every day.
Okay. Counselor Orozco.
Thank you, Mayor.
Uh-huh.
Just a reminder, the CPAC is tomorrow here at 6:30. If you have any questions or concerns, or just want to talk to the police for some information, please do come by.
Open to the
they're doing-
public? It's open to the public?
It's open to the public, yes, ma'am, thank you. Also, a shout out to the fire department and EMS. My neighbor wanted me to extend a thank you. They had an incident there at their house. EMS was there in less than 3 minutes. They said they were very professional, very kind, and very helpful. So a shout out to the, and there was also a shout out to the police department. We had an incident about to transpire in Pavona. Called, they were there within 2-3 minutes, and took care of the situation. And very professional. I was watching everything going, what they were talking about, and they conducted themselves in a professional manner to the people that they were speaking to. So a shout out to them. I already did a shout out to Dr. Cordera. And as you guys know, I'm officially retired now. So I'm going to be helping file stuff here in Leon Valley, just let me know. But I'm having an opportunity to go through the house and, and kind of get rid of. One of the things that Haven for Hope is asking for coats. Yvonne and I went and we dropped off 13 coats that I had not used, or I was using them in my own job. And believe me, these people were so appreciative. So if you get some coats and sweaters out there that can help some of our homeless, you'd be much appreciated.
All right, thank you.
And that's all I got,
Appreciate
Mayor.
that. All right, thank you so much. All right, going to our city manager's report, Dr. Caldera.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My city manager's report is online. I emailed it to y'all earlier. It's also outside in the lobby for those that want a printed copy. I don't really have anything to add other than I did get a couple of questions, and I know you mentioned it, Mayor, but Melinda's gathering was completely paid by donations, not a city dime was used to do that. So, I wanted to reiterate that because I
Okay,
did get a
thank you.
couple
It
of
was very, very
couple
generous
of
of everyone.
questions or a couple of people asking how much we paid on that. So we did not. The council did allow us to use the conference center free of charge, and so we appreciate that. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving to the consent agenda, item 9.1 through 9.6. Anyone want to remove an item for discussion? And if not, may I have a motion and second to approve?
I so move. Oh, go ahead. I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Councilor Orozco and a second by Councilor Campos to approve the consent agenda 9.1 through 9.6 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much. Moving then to the regular agenda, agenda item 10.1, presentation, discussion, and public hearing to consider approval of an ordinance closing a portion of Jeff Loop Road for public purposes. This is our first read. We will not have a vote, and then we can discuss where we want to place it on the consent on February the 3rd. And we have our Planning and Zoning Director, Mr. Gallardo, back to present. And I understand this is just a cleanup item. It's something that we just needed to do.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
Sure.
If you'll begin.
So basically, council's being asked to consider approval of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a portion of Jeff Loop Road located along the now defunct roadway. So obviously, your options are to recommend, deny, or other. So as part of the declaration, most of Jeff Loop Road is now part of the Huebner Creek project, so it's kind of been absorbed. but it's still shown on the Bear Appraisal, District's official records. And as we all know, that Bear County is the official record keeper, so that's kind of nudging us to go through this process. People actually think that they can use the old road with large vehicles, and then unfortunately they find out that there's no road or way of looping around, and they go all the way down Alverde Road and have to turn back. A little bit of background on this scenario is that Bear County bought all of the property along Jeff Loop Road and the south side of Alverde Road, which I mentioned earlier, due to the expansion of the Huebner Creek project. So the only portion of roadway remaining is the cul-de-sac next to the police department parking lot. So just shy of the impound lot. The normal procedure would have been to close the road prior to reconstructing the creek, but action never actually occurred, so that's why we'll have it on the agenda today. The platted lots and roadway are still shown in the original configuration on the BCAT website, which I'll have a picture of that shortly. So again, large vehicles, 18-wheelers are led to believe that the roadway is still open. They end up having to travel all the way down to the end of Alverde Road and then have to figure out how to turn around. So closing the road and vacating the adjacent lots will actually cause the record keeper, which is Bear County, right, to actually update their maps and show the current conditions, which obviously there's no road out there now. So the first step in the process is tonight, road closure approved by City Council. The second step will be to have the vacated plats presented before the Planning and Zoning Commission in February, and then those milers would then be recorded with Bear County. And that'll show us our current condition. So obviously the declaration of abandonment is in the public's best interest. No easements or certain tracts, easements or rights of the public way, you know, that will be impacted. The only thing that actually is impacted is the use. So basically, unnecessary roads would be abandoned. Per the Texas Transportation Code, Chapter 311, Section 311.001, it states that a home rule municipality has exclusive control over and under public highways, streets, and alleys of the municipality. It further states that the municipality may open or change a public street or alley of the municipality or improve a public highway, street, or alley of the municipality, which basically saying that council has the authority to close the road. So this is what the current plan looks like, and you'll see that Jeff Loop is intact there. This is what BCAT is showing right now. So obviously we all know that due to the Huebner Creek expansion, the Jeff Loop and those tracks along it have been absorbed, you know, with the expansion of the creek project. So this is what will be proposed when we vacate the road. So if you look at that, you're basically traveling like west. So you start there and you go down Alverde to the next phase, all the way down to the end here. Oops, sorry. All the way down to the end. So those are going to be the lots that are going to be, I guess in layman's terms, dismantled because they'll no longer be configured in that way. Did you have a question, Mayor?
No, I was just saying, that was when you said vacate, okay, but vacation, that was the first time I've ever seen the word vacation on a diagram with, so anyway, but I understand what you're saying. I understood what it was, but vacation, I kept thinking, what? Anyway, so that's all. It's just a different word that I've, anyway.
We're going to take a break
But
for
yeah,
these lots.
it's, yeah. I didn't realize until I looked at that BCAT map how many homeowners were impacted. I just remember we went through a lot. We went through a lot of pain to close this. But anyway,
We just
everybody
never
came through.
officially went back to close the street.
Yeah,
That's all we're doing
exactly.
tonight.
But when I saw all those houses, I went, whoa, yeah,
They're gone already.
they're
There's nothing
gone.
you can do about it.
That's right.
So that map, the purpose of this is to get that map to be
Sure,
updated with the
exactly.
conditions that are currently out there,
Mhm.
reconfigured.
Okay.
Fiscal impact, well, the city's going to pay for the preparation of vacating, or preparing the vacating plats, right?
Mm.
So roughly the Mylars are $81 per sheet, depending on, you know, how many sheets we have. And then our Dura will be tasked with creating those plats for us.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We do have a public hearing, so let me go ahead and open up the public hearing, and then I'll ask the council to weigh in on it as well as soon as we close the public hearing. So it's 8 p.m., and is there anyone, I know we don't have a large crowd today, but anyway, that would like to address the council on this closure of Jeff Loop, a portion of Jeff Loop? Oh, Mr. McLeod, you're going to do it. Thank you.
Might as well.
Okay.
I just have a question. It's like, so how does that affect like pedestrian travel?
It
Well,
doesn't really,
yeah.
you used to be able to drive around, and there was, if those of you that remember, there was a house at the end.
Mhm.
And so when they bought out all the lots, it is now just a street, but it connects to the creek. So, the creek has a trail system connected to it, and eventually that trail system will go, connect all the way to like the 1604 San Antonio trail system. And so, it doesn't impact pedestrian.
Oh, so it's gonna be replaced by a trail. is what
Yeah,
you're
there's a
trying to say.
trail there, and then there's
Ready.
a pathway.
Yeah.
All we're doing is those individual lots aren't individual lots anymore. They're part of the creek. And so we gotta vacate those lots and show it ending as one piece of property, so.
That makes
It's a
sense.
large green space now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
I didn't like those houses. They're too small though. They're, you know, no yard.
Yeah,
That's like, that's,
okay. All right.
No,
thank-
he's talking about the
All
other
right,
building.
I don't see anyone else, so at 8:02, we'll close the public hearing. And are there any comments from my colleagues, and where would you like to put this at the
You put it in the consent agenda?
consent agenda
Is that
for the
okay?
next meeting? Yeah, on the February 3rd. Okay, very good, thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, moving then to agenda item 10.2, presentation on City Code of Ordinance violation, legal process, and next step. And we have Dr. Caldera, our city manager, here this evening to present. Information only and no vote, but input for sure.
Okay. All right, so this is a little bit different. I tried to kind of put it in a PowerPoint, but then it didn't flow right, and so it flowed better in a Word document. So I'm going to attempt this. I normally don't. I normally put it in a PowerPoint, but so there's a couple of questions on code and the steps in the code process, and it takes forever and it takes too long, and I wanted to explain in some cases why it may take longer than you think on certain violations, and two, where we kind of stay within the legal system. And the attorney has looked over the document. He's here to answer questions about the document. We want to get a clear understanding of how far you really want us to go. And so I'm going to go through, first off, the short-term rental. And so as part of the short-term rental ordinance, you have to register. You're supposed to register with the city. And so what happened is we went through and we found all the short-term rentals that were on VRBO or Airbnb, and the majority of them had not registered. And so we sent them letters. Some came in. We had like a couple that came in and registered, but we still have a lot pending because a lot of those property owners may not live even in this state. And so typically what we do is code enforcement will send out a notice of violation, they identify, and then we give them a set amount of time. It's usually between 10 to 15 days for them to come and register the home. The reason that we want them to register is to see if they are within 200 feet of another property. So that's the main reason for the registration, because it's part of the ordinance. They shouldn't be within 200 feet on the same block face of another short-term rental. So that's why we want them to come register. After the violation goes out, say they don't come in, they don't register, we will normally issue a court citation. And so what you're typically facing is a fine up to $500 per violation for that. If for whatever reason we issue a citation, because lately people have been tying in like, you don't need to pay your red light camera, you don't need to pay any of your citation, what are you going to do about it situation. a warrant would be, we could issue a warrant for that arrest, or we can continue to issue citations. If somebody just continues to fail to appear, right, the next case would be a civil injunction. And so I go through why that matters, because, you know, they could be in violent contempt of court. What the city can't do is we can't seize their house, we can't charge them for a felony, we can't jail them because they simply didn't pay their registration fee, we can't ban short-term rentals outright. So typically what the city has been doing is warn, cite, fine, and then the fine is either determined by the prosecutor and or the judge. We've been staying between these three levels of enforcement. We haven't gone to the court order or injunction. And so we currently have roughly about 30 homes that have failed to register, and they've received letters and or citations have been mailed, and they just haven't shown, some of them haven't shown up for court, some of their court dates are still pending. And so the question is, and this part, if you need it, we don't have to make a decision tonight, but if you need the attorney's advice from a legal perspective, you can always go into executive session anytime on this agenda and have a conversation with Art. But normally what we do is we stay between 1 and 3 in this particular case. The last time I met with the council, which was probably a few months ago, when we had a conversation about short-term rentals, and the conversation did come up about injunctions or suing and that kind of thing. And the council in executive session was a little bit more hesitant in moving towards 4 and 5. But then the question becomes, okay, what if they just refuse to pay the citation, don't care about the warrant, don't come in and register? What are your thoughts between 4 and 5? And this is just on short-term rentals, so.
Okay. Counselor Campos, I had a comment about the short-term. Well, I just, one of our neighbors, your neighbors, had just told me last week that she has a short-term rental across the street, and now the house to her left was just sold, and she said it was going to be a short-term rental.
So 2 different block faces.
2 different block faces, even though they're maybe 200.
That's just the way the ordinance is written. It's within 200 feet of the same block face. Now, I don't know, I'd have to look up that address, see if they pulled a permit. And so, yeah, I mean.
Across the
yeah,
street, and I
yes.
thought, wow.
But that, again, we had the conversation on the 200 feet on the ordinance just a few months ago.
Yeah.
So,
But that's, I think,
I mean, that's.
weren't we trying to, you know, somewhat control the
that.
number, and yet it doesn't address it? So that's what's
So
frustrating.
you're gonna have, there's certain areas that
Yeah.
you're going to have that occur. I mean, they're just the way that the neighborhoods are laid out, you're gonna have some that appear pretty close. The whole idea, though, is
Really?
not to have an ordinance, and Art can jump in here, was to limit, you can't outright ban them.
Right, I understood
And so you
that.
had to have a justification for putting the limitations that you had. And so, I mean, we've had multiple conversations about short-term rentals and the distances and stuff like that. And we put an ordinance in place, and we haven't had complaints driven by the short-term rentals, because you have other ordinances in place, like noise if they're having a party, you have noise violation. Trash, you have trash violation. You have separate violations that
Right.
handle those particular items. Other than the big party thrown where people were jumping and walking through the neighborhood, that's the only complaint that I am aware of. Now, maybe there's more, and I checked the last time we had the conversation, we hadn't received any as far as geared towards short-term rentals. So what I told Mr. Campos and I think Mrs. Meffert when I talked to her is, if you have complaints about a short-term rental violating, we need to know, call the non-emergency number, so then we can keep adequate tracking of that the short-term rentals are impacting your community. And then you can put, if you want to, I'm not suggesting that you do necessarily, stricter or amend your ordinance to kind of help with that impact. But right now, I don't have the numbers to do that.
Okay, I appreciate, so just to encourage them to just call on the other.
Yeah, non-emergency, especially if it's not an emergency. If it is an emergency, like somebody's I think that time somebody was like on the balcony or something like that. It's
Roof,
crazy.
yeah, on the
Yeah.
roof, I think, yeah. Okay, yes, Mr. Campos, you're,
So I live in
Midst
that,
of it.
that
Yeah.
neighborhood, and what makes it worse is there's 3 of them clustered very close together. And they can't be more than 100 feet apart from each other.
Exactly.
Because the way this is working is that you have Adair going one way, and then Countess Adria, and you have two across the street. One is the new one, okay? It's right across the street from an existing one, the one that had the party. And then as you're coming into the next street, there's one right behind the existing party house that was. Okay. And plus there's another one down my block a little further. So, you know, in researching this and seeing what some other municipalities have worked up, you know, I'm assuming that our permits have permit numbers. And so with that assumption, some of the other municipalities are saying to the websites, the platforms, and they have named 4 that they went out for: Airbnb, VRBO, which are 2 that we have contacted, plus they've used Expedia and Booking.com. Okay, I don't believe we have agreements with them, but in what I'm getting an understanding is that when the city got into an agreement with these 4, that they were required to have a valid permit number to be able to display their home, that short-term rental, on their site. And that if they did not register, that the city would notify these platforms and have them have so many days, and in some cases there were 10 days, to then delist them from their site. Now, I'm suggesting that is one alternative, okay, because it's not only the distance, but now we're missing, because, this is a question for you as a city manager, do we have any short-term rentals that are voluntarily reporting their hot tax to us? Okay, so that's another issue, that we're not collecting the tax that we're due, because we don't know they exist, but at least one. I'm glad to hear that. So, you know, that's
So all of that would need to be written in your ordinance. So if you remember the very first, Nicole was our city attorney at the time. If you go back to the very first ordinance that was written, a lot of that was put in there. So you had the taxing entity, the Airbnb and VRBO, were required to provide addresses and stuff like that. Even before that one, if you go back to the summer before, that one was a little bit tighter as far as what those platforms were required to do. The previous council didn't want to do that. And so the ordinance was overhauled to just collect the taxes on any of those. Now, I can send that same ordinance to Booking.com and Expedia, and they're required to pay their taxes moving forward. But to require them to be removed from their platform, you can do it. You would have to amend that ordinance to be able to do that.
Okay. The other thing that in going through the conversation with the city manager and the staff is that when we receive our hotel occupancy tax, we don't know which properties it's for. Is that correct?
So the last set of ordinances, it was in there. I mean, I've shared that with you. It had addresses, and Counselor Stevens was on the dais at the time, and he said, well, we don't even require that from our hotels, so why are we requiring it from the Airbnb? So they removed that language. And so now Airbnb and VRBO just remit the tax. They don't provide address information tied to the tax. We just get a check for the hotel motel tax for it. And so, I mean, I gave him the meeting and the time in the meeting so he could go back and watch it. And so it was in there and they removed it. Again, all these things can be added back into that ordinance. We would have to amend it and resend out to Airbnb, VRBO, and I haven't sent the ordinance to Booking or Expedia, so we can certainly do that if that's something the council so
So I'm just putting it for my colleagues to consider. I mean, that's what I've researched on this short-term rental. I haven't done research on maybe some of these others that are on the topic, but for this one, I have researched, so.
Sure, yes, Counselor Heil.
How many short-term rentals do we have that we know of here in town, approximately?
roughly about 63, between 62, 63. The thing is we have people that don't short-term rental their house all of the time.
They live
Like
there.
if they're gone 6 months out of the year because they live in Colorado in the summer, they're only short-term rentals 6 months out of the year. And technically then if they live in their house only part-time, they're still, even one day, that's still considered the primary residence. So it's a little funky, but if they're using Airbnb and VRBO because the original purpose to know about short-term rentals or to quote-unquote regulate them to some aspect was all geared towards collecting the sales tax dollars. And that was something Mr. Martinez was very passionate about. We looked at a company to come in to identify those homes, but the cost of the company and what you would get back in taxes, we were already collecting the taxes. And so you wouldn't gain as far as cost benefit analysis. The cost wouldn't outweigh the cost of the platform wouldn't outweigh the hotel motel tax. But on the flip side, you would know where all your short-term rentals are. It would allow us to get the notices out, keep track probably a little bit better of those if you're not going to want to identify those homes via the ordinance. In that manner, you would bring a company in to identify those for you, if that makes sense.
Okay, yes, Counselor Campos, go ahead, continue.
Now I remember, I was writing a note here and I said, I wonder what that means. And so, we talked about calling the non-emergency number, but is there a possibility of creating on our, don't we, on it, or what is the?
GoGov.
GoGov, that we can report these, and so.
So the thing about it is you can do it, but it has to be a violation. Like you can't, short-term rental, okay, like, that's great. We will send a letter if they're not permitted. We'll send a letter to them, we'll move, we can issue a citation. But if it's like, lots of cars in the street, well, that's not a violation. If they were legally parked in a public right-of-way, that's not a violation of any current code. If it is tons of trash in the front yard, yes, you could do a GoGov. We would send somebody out. We would write the property owner, a warning. They have 10 days to remove the trash in the front yard. If they fail to move the trash in the front yard, then we can go back and issue a citation. So there are those. So you could do that for GoGov. It's just a matter of what you need. If you have a party, somebody on the roof, I wouldn't recommend GoGov.
Right.
Call the non-emergency number or the emergency number.
But I wonder if we couldn't communicate that on the website and maybe even have like a radio button to say it's trash related, it's noise related.
That's all on there. You can click all of that. If you've ever used, Miss Mersch will know, she uses it.
Okay.
You can click any of those types of complaints on there. It's very easy to use. But yes, so we could do some sort of outreach in regards to, if you have short-term rental complaints. The problem with GoGov is it's not a validated complaint. You could submit 20 complaints on trash in the front, you know what I mean? And that's really tied to one issue, one address. So it's a little weird, it's a little funky, and that would be more of an attorney question. Normally with police, they're recorded, their incident, it's logged through the dispatch. GoGov, I have people on there that are frivolous. I have the same person that submits a complaint on his neighbor because he doesn't like his neighbor. I wouldn't necessarily call that a complaint. So, I don't know if that would be
I was gonna ask Art to address that.
Right, in order to get something at municipal court, which is what she's talking about, obviously if the police provide that, they're actually issued citations, they're trained, they know how to do that. GoGov is mostly just it's a complaint system that still has to be verified that there is, and go through a process that a prosecutor would then have to determine whether the case is accepted for prosecution or not. So it's not, so there's still, whereas a police officer doesn't have to do that to provide that type of citation for a municipal court. So it is a little bit different process.
Okay, yes.
So that way we can communicate that to the people who are living around there. This is the the process, and this is the reason why. It's not for frivolous stuff, but if there is a legitimate complaint, we're gonna call the non-emergency number because it's recorded, because of all the things that Art has articulated right now, so that they can see, okay, there is a process that I need to follow.
We can do an outreach. I mean, we could put it online, we can put together something and put it in the Lion Drawer on a postcard or whatever y'all would like for, however y'all want to reach out for that. But we can put it on the website. We're launching our PEG channel, so we can definitely do a series on that until we build our followers on the PEG channel. But yeah, definitely, it's something we can put together to do that.
Yes.
So things to consider, if my colleagues are agreeable to it, and not tonight, but as we move forward to amending the ordinance to include the delisting, requiring the platforms to require a permit number for them listing them on their websites, reaching out to 2 additional sites, Expedia and Booking.com, and then, is there anything else that I may have missed? But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good start. So we could take a look at the ordinance again. We can bring it back for that in particular for that ordinance. I can already send Expedia and Bookings.com our current ordinance to see if they generate something different than Airbnb and VRBO as far as sales tax is concerned. So we can already send them that ordinance. So I'll work on that this week.
And then I think the last one is consideration from my colleagues about, do we think it's important for them to identify which addresses are remitting? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yes, Counselor Mersch.
I would definitely be in favor of looking at the ordinance again and adding to it, strengthening it, because I think that it's very difficult to get any kind of enforcement of anything with the way it's written now. So I would be in favor of the suggestions that you made in terms of the registration or permit number and the getting the addresses of who's paying the taxes.
Okay, and what about, I think you mentioned it about identifying the short-term rentals.
Well, that's it. That's what she's saying. So what
I know, but
happens?
I think you said for a company.
So that's a
Yeah,
separate
that's a
issue, but
separate-
this would solve the problem, and then you don't have to pay the company, because essentially what happens is if they don't have a permit number,
That they can't be
list on the
posted.
they can't be listed on the
Okay,
site.
gotcha.
So it's almost like a self-enforcement, so they have to come here first,
Okay,
because
gotcha.
Airbnb will say, this city requires a permit number for you to be listed, and if you don't have one, then we can't post on your site. So anybody right now, like if that ordinance existed and we resent to Airbnb and VRBO, they would have to remove everybody on their site that didn't have a permit number.
Okay,
So,
all right,
and then if
let's
you
do that.
add identifying the address, then we would know who's submitting to us and whether or not Airbnb or VRBO are violating that ordinance. So those two things aren't in your short-term rental ordinance. That is on a hotel, motel, short-term stay ordinance that we have tied to taxes. So they're two separate ordinances. You have a short-term rental ordinance, but that doesn't have the tax information. The tax ordinance is a separate ordinance.
Okay, yes, go ahead. So we would borrow
Take
from the
that one.
hotel, motel tax?
That, it is hotel,
It
motel
is,
tax.
and so, that's right,
It's
it
a
is.
separate line item.
Even though it's called short-term rentals.
Yeah, Mr.
You know?
Martinez at the time
Yeah.
wanted it broken down to show what
Right.
that was bringing in by itself, and we obliged. And I think it's great to show that on the.
Mhm. Right, okay, yes,
I'm
Counselor
sorry
Campos.
to keep, but one more question. Recently, the city issued a solicitation document regarding the hot tax audit. It's hotel occupancy tax. It's not tax, but
Yeah,
the hot.
hot tax.
And so would the short-term rentals be subject to those audits?
Yeah, so it's in the, so I haven't gone through.
I haven't
but
gone
they're
through
the
mine
auditors,
either,
But in the
yeah.
scope, we requested that information as part of the deal, for them to have, for us to be able to have that audit. But, again, I mean, when we go through it and we meet, we'll bring that to council later on. It may not be something that y'all want to do, I don't know, but we did ask for them to include that in
Okay, thank you.
their proposal.
All right, very good. Okay, yes, Counselor Mersch.
So kind of going back a couple of steps, when you were talking about we generally take the first 3 steps
For
of
short-term rental.
For short-term rental,
Mhm.
for warn, cite, and fine, I would personally like to say, I think we should go farther than that, because it's very frustrating to me that we have codes and we have laws, and when people don't want to follow them, there's no repercussions. So, I mean, at least going to a court order, and that may make it a little more real for them,
How
or
does that,
whatever.
how does that work, though?
So if you
How do you
have
go from
somebody-
fine to court order?
I mean, go ahead, Art, go,
Yeah.
your thing, go for it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah. I think we need to know, and how much does it cost, and how long does it take, and,
So there's, when you violating a municipal ordinance like this is very much in the nature of the apartment complex that we had.
Vista Del Rey.
Yeah, Vista Del Rey, thank you. And you file a court, petition under pursuant to Chapter 54. And what that allows you to do is seek enforcement but it also allows you to get, civil penalties of up to $1,000 a day if the court orders it. And that's the manner in which, that's the legal aspect or the legal route to do it, which allows you to also do injunction for the ordinance itself. For the tax collection, there are tax collection lawsuits that you can file with respect to not the failure to collect your hot tax. In the hot tax, provision, attorney's fees are allowed. It is an allowable expense to impose on the STR or the hotel. But in the Chapter 54, attorney's fees are not an allowable expense. So that is
short-term rentals.
for any action under that chapter.
But we. No. So
Okay.
we, so as part of the agreement to
Oh.
end,
Then
I
okay.
asked.
That was a settlement.
That was a
That was a settlement
okay,
position, not
gotcha.
yeah, I'm talking strictly about
Yeah, I
can a court
understand,
impose
yeah.
it.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, yeah. All right.
So it's up to, I mean, so it's up to you. It is costly. TML's not gonna
yeah.
cover it. You have to pay the attorney's
Yeah,
fee.
see, that's why I asked how
And,
much.
yes, you can use hot tax for the hot tax portion to cover his expenses, but you don't have a whole lot of money sitting over there. It's not like we generate a whole lot. And so, again, y'all's discretion in regards to that. We have moved away. We were sitting we had a lot of suits in American, at one point where we got suit happy. We were suing a lot of different people. And so, that was one of the big kind of pushes to kind of move away from doing that. And that's why we've been staying in the level 3. I think my recommendation to y'all would be like, let's make these changes, see how many people fail to comply. And then if you have somebody that is like just refusing to comply, then we address that as on an individual basis versus just a blanketed, like, we're gonna just start doing this.
And just remember, before you get to number 4 you can file daily in municipal court on these people, and that's a $500 fine, maximum $500 fine.
Now, I will
for
say,
each of them.
yes, you can. Our judge and prosecutor, if you go, I sent y'all the listing. They're negotiating a lot. So we sent one for the Evers Road tree one is a good example. We submitted 5 violations. They paid 1, and the rest was kind of waived. So we haven't been super heavy in our court system in regards to, it's more compliance driven than it is citation driven or money driven.
Right, so I'm sorry, so
No, I just
if the goal is compliance and you cite them, if I was the prosecuting and I saw 5 of these come across, I would say, look, go in there and do this, and I will give you a deal on this, because
And I think
it's
that's what
revenue
happened.
generation is not the key here, it's compliance.
Exactly.
And so if you just go and show me that you registered, then I'll either dismiss the ticket or I'll, knock the fine way down or something like that. Because you're trying to get the permits, issued.
And then if you look back, I know I sent y'all 2 city managers reports that we are issuing citations, but then if you look to the column of who's paying, we're not getting a whole lot of people paying or paying attention. And so, and as we kind of go through these steps, where we're at and kind of what's going on with that a little bit, and my thought process is we've been kind of stuck here. We did have a meeting earlier today, and I told the staff that we're going to be enforcement driven, because that seems to be the will of the council, is what I'm hearing. And so if that's the case, then it is that. It is citing versus wait, because normally we would wait for that citation to go through court, and then sometimes, like, I'm going to use junk in the front yard. We issue for a citation for junk in the front yard. They start cleaning up, but they go to court. The judge will sometimes provide them a 30-day extension. So we gave them 10 days to comply. They didn't. We issued a citation, but then they go, and Judge Morales can say, we used to do this with Vicky Janville, I'll give you 30 days to comply. And so they would go, and they get an additional 30 days to go, and they would maybe clean up a little bit and then come back to the judge and say, I did this, but my back hurts, I'm elderly, whatever the situation is, can I get another extension? And the judge will normally offer another extension. So sometimes when you see cases, I can't continue to cite because the judge has already issued a plan for compliance. And so if I cite every day when the judge has already given them 30 days, like, I can't do that either because the judge has given them a plan for compliance. So that does happen on occasion as well. Now, what we are not good at on the city staff side, and we had this conversation earlier, is the loop between court back to code enforcement. So we get really good up until the court piece, we'll issue the citation, but then coming back around from court, the connection between court and code as to they didn't comply, the judge gave them a 30-day, not a 30-day, the judge just said they had to get it cleaned up right away so then we can continue to issue the citation. So that's where I think we're getting a little stuck at, and so that's what we're going to hopefully fix as far as the flow goes, is having the conversation back to code so they can either continue to watch that property or continue to move with enforcement on that property.
Thank you. All right, any
Okay,
other questions? I know we've got still, I think we have
Just
four
yeah.
different
So
areas.
just really quick on graffiti. The big one here is we always ask the property owner to clean up first. And then if the property owner, we give them 10 or 15 days, doesn't get the graffiti removed, we can go in and remove the graffiti. If we have the paint color on hand, like a brown or whatever on hand, we will go in, and we normally don't charge. We just go in and paint it or whatever. If it is, some people don't want a different color brown, then we ask them to get it covered right away. Now there's a whole section if we catch you graffitiing and the laws in regards to people that actually graffiti. But just so you know, they have 15 days to comply with getting the graffiti removed. Somebody asked about like the paint color situation because the white looked worse than what was the graffiti on. Like, no, the whole idea is just to get it removed. If we can power wash it, especially if it's on city property, we try to power wash it off. We'll do that. But sometimes it's whatever paint color we have on hand that we'll use to cover up, like on a fence or whatever, if somebody fails to do that. But you can get it removed. You can, especially we've had some really, really large, the mayor will remember this, we'll have some really, really large obscene art that we need to have taken down pretty quickly. So we give them the notice. If they don't comply, then we will go out, and then we will, because sometimes it's a whole side of a building, we will put a lien on the property because it's pretty, if it's just a little scribble, then we'll go in, paint it, and move on. But if it's a whole wall where it's taking staff a whole day to go out there, we will put a lien on the property. It's usually on our commercial buildings. So that's the graffiti. Dead trees is the next one. This is kind of with regards to the conversation we had earlier about the dead trees. This is more of the dead trees in general. It's the ordinance itself doesn't allow you to have a dead tree on your property. And so you're supposed to remove your dead trees from your property. And so we sent out postcards, we sent out warnings, we've issued a few citations. But the cost of some of these properties, like in Monte Robles and even over there on the Adair and Castle Hills Estate, they have a lot of dead trees. And so the cost is so, extreme to remove the dead trees that we're kind of stuck in this weird kind of place, because if I go and the person said I got a quote and it's $90,000 or whatever, like we have in the natural area, my house is only worth $120,000. We technically, there's not a limit from what I've been told. You could put a lien of that amount, but I don't know how the judges would see it later on, with the sale of the property. If we had those trees removed and we put that kind of lien on a property, that's an art kind of question. I don't know. Like if we have it, like we have one property that's probably got like 10 dead trees on their property. And if we went and they refuse to do it and we go in and clean it up and it costs $50,000 and the property's worth, $200,000, like, can we put a lien on for, that excessive of an amount is the question.
Can you?
We can.
Yeah.
The question is, are you gonna
Are you?
collect it? I mean, and that's the different thing. So, I mean, if
Not until they die.
right, and when you sell it, then
Or
at
sell
that
it,
point
yeah.
is when you're gonna collect it. And if the collection amount or if the sales amount is less than what your lien is, you're not gonna be able to collect it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have to either discharge part of the lien and retain part of the lien for a future, but, just.
The house becomes unsellable and it can remain vacant, and then you have vacant house
That's true,
issues.
absolutely. And I mean, just in general, liens should always be your last resort as a municipality, because those generally for exactly what Crystal's saying, is they generally tend to stay on the books for a long, long, long time, and they're very difficult to collect. And sometimes even in the sales process, title companies miss them a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of times where properties have been sold and there have been valid liens on the property, and then you've got a real problem on your hands.
Right. Okay. Any questions or comments?
So for this particular thing, we give a notice of violation, issue a citation, and that's kind of where we stop. Like, we've been putting pressure, we've been threatening the lien as the next step. We haven't really done that yet. And my big issue with not doing that yet is we're not even compliant with our own ordinance. Like, we, on our own city properties, in the natural area, in the right-of-way, we have dead trees. We're not even making ourselves comply, and then you're asking these homeowners to dish out the money to comply. So, I have been asking a little bit more, forcefully that they take down the trees, and issuing citations, and we've gotten a little bit of results, but I don't, and we'll continue to do it that way for a little while, but then we're going to have to, if that's on the books, you're going to have to address it at some point. So.
Okay. All righty. Very good. Anything else? All right. We'll move then to blocking the sidewalk.
Blocking the sidewalk. So, for those of you that remember the last town hall meeting or coffee, and people came up and they were issued citations for blocking of the sidewalk. And the question was like, where are those at? Have people come in to pay? I took a look. There's a lot of people that haven't paid. So what are the next steps? Well, we can issue a warrant, right? Like, that's regular court system. But some people, what the new trend is people don't need a driver's. I mean, that's our impound lot is proof of that. People don't need a driver's license. They don't think they need a driver's license. They don't go renew. They're not driving with the driver's license. It's a new thing. David can even speak to it. There's articles online. People just.
Well, they can't get on a plane.
So,
there's so many things that you can't do without identification, right?
So, yeah, you can do it with a passport. You don't need a driver's license.
Well, that's true. A passport.
Identification and driver's license are not the same thing.
Okay.
So we're having a little bit of issue with the parking, and they're kind of like, what are you going to do about it? Like, kind of situation, like, what if I don't pay it? We haven't gotten into issuing the warrants yet. We've issued the failure to appears, and I don't think they've issued the actual warrants yet, but that's next. So you'll probably get another wave of people upset that they got warrants. And then if they just say, that we can impact their driver's license, collection, we can send to collection. And then if they have a bunch, so I know of somebody that has like just refusing to comply with the blocking of the sidewalk, and so now it's become, they've gotten several parking tickets, and they're just like, I'm not doing any of it, I don't care, and whatever. That kind of attitude. The next thing is, you could tow, or you could boot a car. We haven't ever done booting here, but you could tow a car for excessive parking violations. We could tow for just blocking of the sidewalk. Technically, a police officer blocking us could remove the vehicle. We don't have the manpower to kind of do that at this point. So we issue a warning and or citation for blocking of the sidewalk. But if people fail to appear, you could tow those vehicles. And the mayor and probably Mr. Orozco will remember we've attempted that in the past, and that did not go over very well. So we have been staying in the warrant phase with those, and so I don't know if you just want to monitor that, or if y'all want us to like start moving towards, if people have excessive parking, to go and tow those vehicles off their property or not. So
That means we have to call Bannis, and so we have expense there, right? So I'm just thinking
it's
that.
not free.
It's not free, exactly. Counselor Campos, what do you think?
Just for consideration for discussion, some of these people may be leaders that we have on our boards and commissions. And should that be a requirement that you don't have any of these outstanding issues? Because, I mean, when you publicly come out and say, hey, you know what, you don't have to do it, well, are you going to be a great advisor for us going forward, for the different boards and commissions? Now, I noticed that it can't be for the elections, because I went to the election form and it said, okay, is there any felonies?
Yeah,
Okay.
felony. Yeah.
But some of these, I don't know, and I don't know from a legal perspective, when you say, well, it was a citation, I haven't been found guilty by the judge, or I wasn't afforded my due process. I really don't know that portion of it. But when somebody, like I'll tell you personally, I was appalled when we had city council members saying, I have red light tickets and I don't intend to pay them ever. And it's kind of like, but you're the person that's leading our community, and you do the right thing for the right reason without anybody watching you, And if you continue to say, okay, I'm going to get some more, it's kind of like, wow, where's the judgment in this? And this is just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to cast stones on anybody, but it's kind of, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, yes, Counselor Mersch, I was wondering if anybody else had
I
an
think
opinion.
that would be a very reasonable thing to put on any application for a volunteer to participate on a commission or a committee, to say that you don't have any unresolved citations. So if you paid your citation, if you did the right thing, you're okay. But if you're being difficult and, kind of forcing the system, I agree that that's not exactly who you want to be as a leader in the community, even if it's on a committee or a thing. So, I mean, that can be part of the criteria in applying for a volunteer position on a committee or a commission or something.
Is that even legal? Can we deny them from serving?
I don't know.
Just because they have a ticket?
So, I mean, for your own boards and commissions, you all set your own criteria for service and qualifications for service.
So then the question then becomes, are just specifically red light camera tickets, because they've obviously been deemed by the state
Right.
as unconstitutional. And so I think that that's going to be, so again, like that would be my legal question, is whether or not, even though they may have unresolved for like a municipal court violation for dead trees or something like, but those haven't been deemed unconstitutional by the state of Texas, would the same rules apply to that? Like, we're allowed to continue to issue red light camera tickets because we have a current contract in place. And so that is my question, would be.
The state law would supersede the city law.
Correct,
Right.
sort of, but just a conversation, because that'll be the first thing that comes up in that conversation.
Well, I mean, so if red light camera's unconstitutional, that means there's no violation, okay? So that's kind of That's kind of provision number one. Number two is if there are code violations for which someone is accused, I mean, y'all can make that a condition of service, but just remember, because you're accused doesn't mean that there's something, you've done something wrong. It just means you've been accused of it. So I would caution y'all a little bit with respect to that. What y'all might want to look at is, have they had convictions within the past 3 years? Or are they currently on deferred adjudication? Or are there certain other mechanisms by which they have, not complied with, have demonstrated ability of not complying with city ordinances? A citation in and of itself is not evidence of that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm getting concerned here. Go ahead, Counselor.
So my question is that if you then receive a citation and you never address it, then how does that work?
Right, I mean, at that point, so if you get a citation here and you don't appear, for instance, a judge can do one of two things. They can, and I'm not sure exactly what the court does here. I'm not the prosecutor here, one of my associates is, but they can issue an FTA, failure to appear, or they can issue a bench warrant for non-appearance, okay? So in that instance, they're demonstrating non-compliance with a valid appearance, requirement for a valid appearance at a court, okay? That, I think, is something that you can take action on or consider in your qualifications, okay? The underlying offense itself, you may want to think about, but if they're not complying with court orders, that's not exactly someone, to your point, from a leadership standpoint, is that someone that you necessarily really want to be leading the city? Okay, and that's something to consider.
Okay. Yes, Council Heil.
I agree, we don't want people who have too many citations, whatever, but you know how hard it is to get anybody to volunteer for
That's
anything
exactly
on
my
this board?
point.
It's almost impossible. And if we
Hard.
throw something else in there, and how many people do we have on any of our committees that are, I think we're just setting ourselves up for extra work.
So we've tried in the past, I mean, the mayor will remember this, the only one that we do background checks for is the library, just to make sure, even if you're technically a convicted criminal, you can still be on any of the boards and commissions, including the library. The only thing we're trying to protect is the children. So if they have indecency with the child or something of that nature, that's the only thing that would prohibit you from volunteering on the library board, because that's the only one we do a background check for. Just so y'all know. But we've attempted in the past to do background checks on all of our committees, I remember at one point, and then
Long time ago.
yeah, it was, and it was on there, and it was a little bit, because then it got costly, because you have so many volunteers coming in and out, and we would have to run them, and they're not free to run, and I can't just run them through the police department. That's not one of the eligibilities to run them through
A valid manner in which you do it.
Yeah, so you have to pay a company to run the background to do it, and so. Anyway, so it did get a little bit complicated. Now, if we're just talking about municipal court, our court, not like big criminal, then that's an easy check. I just go down to municipal court and ask if they have outstanding, violations with the city. And if they've failed to appear or they're in warrant status, that's a little bit different than a full background check. So you're talking two separate issues, I think, so. But then you could have somebody on your committee that's committed a violent offense, but still on a committee, and then, but not have violations with us. So you could have somebody prohibited from being on a committee that just has a dead tree violation, they're refusing to play, but then you could have somebody that has a violent offense on so if you choose that route, just trying to give you all the pitfalls.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we should open that can of worms personally. I think we ought to just leave it, but I don't know how y'all feel, other than Betty and I know some of y'all want to do warrants and stuff like that, but as far as volunteers, like you said, it's so hard to find volunteers. When I was kind of looking back, I mean, we used to have a really vibrant lots of committees, lots of volunteers, and just over the years, it's just fallen off, and I mean, we didn't have that, you know, we're gonna look into your background before you go, before you can serve, and I just think it's just, you know, life, it's just so complicated, and people don't have time, and, you know, anyway, it's just, so the people that do volunteer, we really appreciate, because they are giving a sacrifice, so, I don't know, yes.
So then,
Counselor.
really, then what's the end game here? We have these citations, and how do we take control over them? You know, when people
Well,
are just
thing I can do is
flagrantly
I
just saying, I'm not gonna
I was
comply."
relating it to volunteers and
Right,
background,
but-
that's all, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do something different here. I like your failure to appear and all that, but what I was addressing was just having to check out the volunteer, I didn't want to do that, that's, to clarify, yeah.
Okay, so, I wanted to give the presentation because there was some confusion on things taking too long.
Oh, yeah.
And why it takes too long, and there's due process, and sometimes it gets circled back into court. It's not like you issue it and we have them fix it. Some people do, like we go out for high grass and we send code out and they're like, okay, we'll get it done, and they get it done right away because they don't want to get a citation. We always warn, give 10 or 15 days, depending on the violation, for them to comply. Then if they don't, then we typically go back, depending on the situation, because code still has their discretion. They can give another extension depending on circumstances, or they can issue a citation. So that is that's every circumstance is a little bit different. And so sometimes when we give multiple warnings because there's, you know, underlying circumstances, and so that 15 days has turned into 30 days. And so just so you know, it's not that we forgot about it or that we're dragging our feet. We have a certain amount of time we have to comply with, including the judge. When the judge says, hey, I'm giving them a plan, give them 60 days. Vicky Jamble, I remember hers was like, he gave her 90 days and then she only did half of it, and then he gave another extension. And so that one took, I mean, a good amount of
Years.
time. Yeah, it took a long time.
It took
And
a long
so
time.
that wasn't on us or the city staff not doing what they're supposed to do. Now, the good thing about it is when y'all do surveys on GoGov, I get them. And so I have seen some issues with things falling through the cracks a little bit, or not circling back, or the description. So they may have done it. So I think I saw one today or the other day that said, you know, couldn't find property owner. Well, that's not a reason. There was other reasons. He just didn't put that on there, and it's just a poor explanation of it. So we're working with the code guys in order for them to put in the description exactly what it is that they're doing on those cases, so you have a clear picture. So there are, don't get me wrong, we've got our own issues to fix here, and we're working on that. But I wanted everybody to understand the process, where everything is at. This sheet will be cleaned up. We're going to put it not in this Lions Roar, but the next one, so everybody knows. And so kind of formatted it this way on purpose, so that it will go out in the Lions Roar that way. So any other questions in regards to this, the process?
Okay.
Nope.
So we're just gonna follow, that was short-term rental, the 1, 2, 3, but I mean, we're just gonna continue what we've been doing on the code? On all of these, you
I
know?
believe so. It's just like saying, you got a red light camera ticket, you can't drive in our city anymore. You know, it's a bit of a government overreach, I believe. I understand the enforcement of the violation and how we should be able to get justice for the city who violates our ordinances. I believe that.
But we have to weigh it.
Yeah, I think that the process, the law process, it's a way of trying to get our justice for the violations. San Antonio has over 32,000 warrants out, and it's like saying, well, if you have a warrant, you can't work anymore, or we can't, you know, we're gonna enforce this, we're gonna violate your right to work or your right to drive because you violated, you got a ticket. I'd like to see this continue on. Thank you for the update, Dr. Caldera, and let's give it a shot. I think Betty had indicated that we're having a difficult time trying to get people to volunteer, And,
that's a
and I
given.
agree with that being, with a CPAC. And we do have to struggle sometimes to get members in there to work. But I don't know, let's just go with this, with the continued
All right.
process that we have here. And, if there comes a better way, I'd be more than glad to entertain it.
Okay, all right, Counselor
Well,
Marsh.
I do agree that the education and putting it in the Lions Roar is a great first step. To see the subsequent actions that can be taken, because sometimes even knowing that it's possible that it goes to this next step might be enough to push somebody to comply or pay or whatever the thing is up here. So I'm all in favor of doing the education, and I think this is a very clear format specifically for these top, 4 things or whatever. I agree with that completely.
Okay, all right, so we'll just, is that general consensus then? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, well, we're going to move then to our next topic, 10.3, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 15 zoning, Section 15.02.327 PD, Plan Development District. First read was held on 10/21/25, 12/2/25, and 12/16/2025. And we wanted to make sure we had a full council before we moved on any action. So, Dr. Caldera, if you'll
yes,
begin.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I submitted the ordinance changes to y'all. They were posted online. In the PowerPoint presentation, I have the points broken down. But I wanted to, before we move on to that discussion, I wanted to have a conversation a little bit. Because looking at everybody's request for changes in that ordinance is starting to get really, really strict in that ordinance. And so my question to y'all is, I'm not sure at this point why you have a PDD, to be honest with you. Sometimes you got to make full circle. I know the mayor brought this up when we originally first started this conversation, but I think that there was still some hold on wanting to keep it. But now we've gotten so far, because now they want to remove certain language from the ordinance to make it stronger or clearer. And the whole idea of a PDD is flexibility. And so if you don't, and you don't have to be flexible is what I mean. Your flexibility can live within the current zone that it's in. And if you want if you want a change to that request, you can always come for a variance. And so and I've had this conversation briefly with the mayor a few weeks ago. I think this ordinance was written by a previous planning and zoning director with the idea that that person would probably leave and then work for said company later on. And so I think it had some intent there with that PDD ordinance. And so now looking at Ms. Mersch's recommendations and some of the council's feedback and trying to make that language tighter or more restrictive, you're getting away from the intent of a PDD. The PDD is supposed to allow for flexibility, but you don't have to. You don't have to be flexible. If you want R1, then stand by your R. Why have it? And if they need a street with variance, then they come and they ask for said variance. I think with the PDD, what they were trying to show was like, this is a whole plan with all of these variances with underlying zoning. And instead of coming for each variance, they were kind of including it in all the variances in that plan. And then y'all were adopting it as one, kind of like a washover of all individual variances. I tried to, I think on the Seneca West one, go through each variance on purpose.
You did.
Just so y'all could get a feel for that and what y'all were actually giving away, and there was a no bite on that.
Yeah.
So this way, if somebody would come in for, if we get rid of the PDD, they would come in for R1 on anything else or replatting, a larger piece of land for a lot, and it's already R1, then the variances would have to come before the zoning commission and the city council for those variances versus saying, let me submit another PDD for this 10-acre R1 that had one house on it, like Sawyer Road's a good example of that, and submitting this whole plan with all these variances in this plan because I'm going to put shops and I'm going to do this, and you don't have a lot of vacant land left. And so I don't see a need to, like, if we were in Castroville, I'd probably be like, yes, you probably need some sort of PDD ordinance. You don't have an ETJ, you're completely landlocked, you only have so many acres of land left to develop, and so why not keep that land, what you have already zoned that land to be? The other part of this is you're getting ready to go through your master plan overhaul, right? And so if any zone needs to be changed, you would be changing that during that master plan process. So if there's acres of property that need to be B3 instead of, B2, or R3 or R6 instead of R1, you would change those zoning portions or recommend those kind of zone changes as part of your master plan overhaul. And those, in your master plan, normally vacant land's kind of sectioned out, but even the large parcels of land get zoning districts, right? They're either R1 or B3 or whatever that is. And a lot of the Sawyer Road now is commercial. If you drive back there, it's not even R1 anymore. So, so in going through the exercise, I made all the updates. They were in there. Did all of that. But as I was going through those updates and really kind of looking at them, I'm like, well, if I take out this word, it really just makes it this, which really is the underlying zoning district. And so we did a lot of great work. I think this is great. But at the same time, I think we've kind of circled back to, we have it zoned. It should stay the zone it is, in my opinion. So before we went through and spent the next 30 minutes or so going through the changes in the PDD, my first question to y'all is, do you even want a PDD?
Well, you and I've already talked, and I said, I think I asked that question at the very beginning.
did.
Why do we need a PDD now? Especially, like you said, we don't have much land left, and we could just go with the underlining zoning and variances. So I know we've done a lot of work. So I'd like to hear from the council and see what direction you think we should go. And I know Councilor Mersch, you've put an awful lot of time on that ordinance. You really did.
No. I think that traveling this full circle was kind of necessary. And I understand what you're saying, and I'm kind of going with that and agreeing with that. My question is, if something is zoned R1 in the master plan, can somebody still go and request a change to have it zoned R6 or R3 or whatever?
So you always have the ability, an applicant, there's always a due process for everything.
Right.
So they always have the ability to come forth before the council and ask for a rezone. There's a whole section of state law that allows them to do it. I'm like looking at her just so you can nod, tell me shut up, I'm saying something wrong. But so you have the whole section in the zoning parameters to be able to come and ask for a property to be rezoned. It is up to the body, both your zoning commission and your council, to look at your master plan and say this is in line with the master plan or not. And so we, as staff, always recommend, like when we say the sidewalks has come up many times where people have come to ask for a variance on putting in a sidewalk, we always refer back to the master plan and recommend that the sidewalk go in because that was part of the master plan connectivity. That's what was part of it. And the council still makes the decision and 9 times out of 10 provide a variance to the person requesting that issue. So we help you get the plan. Y'all vote on the plan. The plan is a policy. Y'all have to deem it as such, but it's also up to y'all to follow your own plan. We don't dictate that rezoning. We don't dictate variances. So we can't set up an ordinance in place to say it's R1 and there's nothing you can do to change from that R1 zoning district. They always have an ulterior path to take to make requests. And so...
okay, go ahead.
So does that leave it to the primary place that we need to make sure that we're comfortable with the zoning is in the master
Yes.
plan? And will we have opportunity
point.
to
Right.
to have input to that rather than just approving something that somebody else has done? Have input into, we really feel strongly that this should not be R1 or R3 or, but we really need it to be.
So the process for the master plan is, and the reason we're going out for a company is the city's never done a I shouldn't say that 'cause I
They've
don't
done
wanna-
it in-house.
They've done it in-house, thank you, Mayor, that's a
Right,
politer way to say that. We've never had a company come in and do it, and so if you actually look at our master plan, it's like, there's some pictures that were kind of like cut out and scanned in, and, you know. So in this particular case, you know, the engineer, or whoever it is, would be involved, I'm saying engineers, but I'm assuming it's an architect or engineer, whoever's submitted, and we got proposals and we're getting ready to go through them, but, would be, you know, professional CAD drawings, and there's a lot of public input. So each neighborhood, we set up a
right.
time, kind of, if you were involved in the park master plan, and all the public meetings involved in that, each neighborhood would have an ability to come out and speak. Now, what we find with those is a lot of, we need a, you know, light, or we need trash, you know, XYZ, like they're not related to the master plan, so we sift through those and try to keep it master plan oriented and talk about zoning districts, we look at the commercial district, all of that, and there's lots of those neighborhood meetings to have impact and recommendations on the neighborhood master plan portion. And then it's up to the council, but we normally do one big public hearing, and people come in, and we give them, hey, this is, you know, come put what you think, and it's been done differently. We did stickers, we've done colors, we've done it differently, and so whoever we select will have a process for that. But then all the public comes in and says, you know, we want B3 here, or we don't want that, or everything's fine, or, so they have lots of input on that. And then it comes back. It's like a year's process that we go through, a little bit less than a year. It's a year's process that you go through.
But you use the existing master plan that we have.
We normally
right?
start with that, so we normally do. So they have kind of
something to go on.
And then it's conversations of like, should it be zoned this, should it not be
right.
zoned that? This is what the current zoning is.
Right.
We had a lot of connectivity, a lot of sustainability, a lot of environmental, a lot of, you know, that kind of stuff in the master plan and what we were looking at. And then that drives, right, that kind of becomes almost like your strategic goal kind of thing when it comes to like zoning and regulation. And so when you have these variants come up, or you have a zoning case or come up to the council, even it could be unrelated. It could be, you know, we're looking at putting solar panels on a vacant land because we're trying to strive to meet this initiative in your master plan. So all of it kind of gives you like a new focus. We haven't done one in about 7 years, so.
Yeah,
It's
2017, I think, right?
Last one. So it's time to
Yeah.
kind of do an overhaul, have somebody in and come kind of do that. And so yes, there's lots of public input before it's adopted. It would play out very similar to the way we did our park master plan. The timeline's a little bit longer because it's a little bit more, it's a comprehensive master plan, so it takes a little bit more time. The good thing about doing it with a company is there's set measures and goals that, you know, because they get paid per section. That we'll get through it a lot faster. When we did it internally, it was our planning and zoning director that would do it typically, and so doing her other work and focusing on the master plan, it would take a year's time. So maybe it's a shorter time frame by going with the
And
company.
I thought we had the Planning and Zoning Commission as the, what would you say?
They're
yeah.
they kind of the
They
lead.
kind of ramrodded it, you know what
they
I'm
do.
saying?
They
But they
normally
did
come
go to the
out,
neighborhoods.
They
as
go
I
to
re-
the neighborhoods.
yeah.
They come out.
But I thought they let it.
hoorah their
Yeah, but it was in-house.
Yes, we did it in-house. So this
right.
wouldn't be done in-house. We'd work with the, of course, the
Yeah.
Planning and Zoning Commission. But there would be a timeline. When y'all select the person that's going to do it, they're gonna present to y'all the, you know, the timeline and the process with all of that and how that is going to go a little bit more clear than, you know, the way I explained it this evening. But that's typically how the process goes. So you have lots of input on a lot of that. And so I know in the last, we had the whole, that's why we had a separate sustainability plan, because they didn't want to go back and update the master plan. So then you had a separate, and then you had a separate gateway. So we had a gateway, sustainability, and a comprehensive master plan. We've gotten rid of all of those. And so you should just have a comprehensive master plan.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Counselor Campos. Thank you for that question.
Dr. Caldera, thank you for this review process. I'm also agreeing that why do we need the PDD? That's my opinion, and I would be in favor, along with, if my colleagues are in favor, of getting rid of this section.
Okay. Anyone else have an opinion?
I agree with
Counselor Roscoe? Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Oh. Somebody want to, I thought I saw a hand.
He was just yawning, okay. All right, so when do you expect, the RF, it's gonna be an RFQ?
They came in already.
Oh, they've already come in?
And we
Oh.
haven't gone through them yet. They're starting to comb through them right now. So
Okay,
they-
comb
they-
through them, and then, okay, and then you'll bring back, okay, very good. And that'll take about a month
I don't
before the
know.
council, well, we
No.
won't say.
No, I don't know.
Probably-
I need to see how many, I haven't gone through them yet.
Okay.
I haven't, I knew we got them, I knew we closed, and
Do
he started
you,
looking at them.
did we get a pretty good number back, or? About 8? I think that's above average, really.
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
So
Counselor
what is,
Marsh.
what is the process for getting rid of the PDD and the timing? Do we not get rid of it until we have a new master plan, or can we get rid of it saying even what we have now is not
No,
the-
so what I would recommend, so if y'all remember, we adopted the whole thing over again, and I said I would bring back pieces of that portion of the zoning code. And so this was the first section that we were working on. There's 2 other sections, but PDD was such a big bite that I wanted to take it first. No, I'm gonna bring back an amendment to that ordinance and remove the PDD from that ordinance. It will be 2 reads, even though we've had lots of conversations. Those conversations have been specific to amending it. This would be in
Just
remo-
eliminating.
To delete, just
Okay.
deleting that part of the ordinance, so we'd bring it back 2 more times. So, both times in February, you would remove it, and as you go through the comprehensive master plan, and say you end up back to wanting a flexible zoning district, then you can always bring it back and put in, but this way, as you're going through that process, you won't have another PDD come in. I don't know if any, we don't have
Yeah,
any
don't-
pending or
yeah.
anything, but
Exactly. Did you have something to say?
But
Yes,
just
go
to be
ahead.
clear, that this doesn't eliminate existing PDDs, it's only for
No,
the future
we
ones.
understand, only future,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, very good. All right, thank you, Dr. Caldera, do appreciate that. All right, then we'll move then to agenda item 10.4, discussion and possible action on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Leon Valley. 1, ordering and establishing procedures for a general election in the City of Leon Valley, Texas. 2, elect 3 council members, place 2, 4, and the mayor, by the qualified voters of the City of Leon Valley. 2nd, to authorize the mayor to enter into a joint election agreement with Bear County Elections Administrator and for the conduct of said election. And lastly, for providing details related to the conduct of the election and authorizing the use of the Leon Valley Conference Center for early voting April 20th, 26 through April 28th, 2026, and for Election Day voting on May 2nd, 2026. And we have Sandra Pasale, our city secretary, here to, no, does somebody want to read it in Spanish? Okay, yeah, thank you. No, very experienced city secretary who's handled lots and lots of elections, so thank you, we're in good hands.
Good evening. It seems like these are coming around awful fast, or
I
I'm
know.
getting really old, one of the two.
Life is going
go with the
fast,
first.
is going very
Yeah.
fast.
Again, just as the mayor said, this is to call the election for May 2nd, 2026 for place 2, 4, and the position of mayor. Basically, everything else she said, the early voting and election day site, all that, it's the same every year. We do it at the conference center. Bear County will handle all of the judges, clerks, all the training. As far as the public notice, Bear County also still does that. I don't have your contract yet.
You don't have a
because
cost.
I don't have, I mean, but it
But we
typically
did
is
put it
around
in the
8.
budget, right?
Yes,
We did
ma'am.
allocate,
Mhm.
what, 3,500 or something like that?
Well, we put in case you have a November special,
Oh,
so we
okay.
always put enough for 2, so it's
Okay.
usually around 16,000
Okay.
for both.
Okay.
We haven't gone over it yet.
Mhm.
No, we won't.
Okay.
But basically, this is to authorize the mayor to sign that contract when we do get it, and Ms. Carew,
Mhm.
I might be saying that wrong, Michelle Carew, who is the Bear County Elections Administrator, is working on those still. So as soon as we get that, we will give that to the mayor. Again, this is the second year that this resolution authorizes the mayor to sign it, and that's because we don't want Dr. Caldera to have to pay for a recall or a recount.
Okay. All right, so it is a resolution. Any questions for Sandra Pasale on the election? All right.
Oh, and I'll have a table at the town hall for anyone who wants to register to vote or pick up a ballot by mail application.
Oh, great, great, that's important. I had a call from a citizen this week, this week, who said she was having difficulty, that she had received first you have to apply for a ballot, and then she mailed it in, and she hadn't gotten anything back, so she's very, very nervous.
I
And
have those dates written down from our meeting last week, so I'll bring those with me.
She said she was calling the county election, and she wasn't getting anybody answering the phone.
We kind of,
So she
we
was
had
not
a
happy, and I
teams
said, well, let
meeting.
me know. And
We
she said she was
got
going
those.
down personally today to check on her status. I have not heard back from her, but I said, I'll call Judge Sakai, I really will.
No, I got
because
the
she's
dates
very-
for that, but she did say there was going to be a delay and that they won't be going out. I have that date too. I'm not going to say it in here because I
Okay.
might have it
Could
wrong, but
I-
I'll bring
Could I
it.
get those dates from you?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you can read my writing, but because we
Yeah,
had to
could-
hold.
so I can communicate that back to her.
Right, we held a meeting because we needed that information as well, but I'll take that with me Saturday.
Okay.
Just in case.
Thank you. All right. So what's the pleasure of the council on this agenda item?
I'd like to move for a motion to approve this item.
All right. All right, we have a motion by Counselor Campos and a second by Counselor Mersch to approve Agenda 10.4 concerning the May 2nd election as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much, Sandra. Do appreciate it. All right, moving then to Agenda Item 11, requests from members of council to add items to future agendas. Does anyone on the council have a future agenda item besides Dr. Caldera? Okay, let me go to Counselor Campos.
Mayor and my colleagues, Leon Valley currently has a recycling contract with the San Antonio Water System, and it's to irrigate the park and I believe the Veterans Park across the
The
street.
Community and Conference Center is Veterans Park, so it's Veterans Park and Raymond Marcus Park.
And so, one of our residents has reached out and said, well, what about the trees along the LC-17? How are they being watered? And is there a possibility of extending that recycled water to irrigate those trees instead of using potable water? And so I'd like to see what consideration, going out. First, maybe give us the details, and then possibility of us, the city, extending the parameters, because it's very specific in that contract. That was provided the contract. We have a specific location where we can use this water, and asking SAWS if we can expand that to a new location, and possibly also getting some more recycled water for the city of Leon Valley. So that's.
I have to do, so David.
You
gonna
can
be-
address what we're currently doing.
Yeah, so, so right now we get 10 acre feet, for Veterans Park and Raymond Marcus. At one point, the agreement was, I wanna say it was like 60 acre, we weren't using what we were said to be using, but we got 10 acre feet. We do use more sometimes, we use less sometimes. We've never been, challenged when we use more. It's kind of one of those things. I mean, it was a big kind of, hoorah back when we put it in. It was a big initiative, and so that was what we got. There's only 18 places that use, like in the general area that use recycled water, according to one of the documents I got. So it's not a whole lot of recycled in this area. But yes, we'll have Dave Demeline reach out to SAWS, see if they can increase the amount, and see if we can hook up on the LC-17 project to that. Because I don't know. That's
Well,
it.
because
And the
we're-
cost as well.
And the cost.
Yeah, and the cost for that, to be
Yeah.
able to do that. So, give me a little bit of time, we'll get it on a future agenda, and I'll add it to the, potential items.
Certainly want to keep all those trees alive and
Sure.
watered.
I know
and-
that
Yeah.
they're gonna do the irrigation for us.
Right.
But if they could do the recycled water line, maybe that would
Yeah,
help, I don't know.
Jackie Randall, who has been so instrumental in helping us plant these trees, in this last planting, which was about a month ago, I guess it was, she said she got grants not only for the the trees, but also for irrigation. But part of the agreement, my understanding, Dr. Caldera, was the initial trees that were planted, 235, they helped us plant them, but the city had a commitment to water them for 3 years. And it was interesting because I think we did lose some of those trees in the initial planting.
So
but
like
that's
my
why-
worry is the
yeah.
ones we just planted. We planted a whole bunch and now it's
Uh-huh.
gonna freeze on Saturday.
Yeah.
So they haven't gotten strong and healthy
Yeah,
enough, and so that
uh-huh.
makes me a little bit nervous. The guys will go out and do their best to
Water 'em.
water them
Mhm.
and you know, but we do, same thing last year, we put them in and then a couple of weeks later we had like a weird freeze. And so we did lose a few trees in that. Our success rate on the tree planting has been very well. It's been
been
you know,
pretty good,
80%. Yeah, it's been doing well.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I definitely get the question answered. We'll bring back a presentation for y'all and see.
But that would have to be extended, right?
Yes, I mean, you'd have to
I guess
extend
the
a water
recycled
line.
water line goes across the, we all know it goes across the creek, Hebner Creek, so I guess would it be at that point?
I don't know. I don't know if the cost is on
South?
us, if we would have
Yeah.
to pay for the engineering. I don't know any of that.
Okay.
And so,
All
let
right,
me
so
do a
we'll
little
get
bit
some-
of research and we
Thank you
will
for bringing that up.
bring
I
you a
think that's a really
presentation.
good, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, okay.
Oh, and then I had, I'm sorry.
Counselor Heil and then Dr. Caldera, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. What is the schedule for the street cleaner? That poor man goes up and down the streets, there's cars parked in the street, he's dodging them, and then he goes, and if people would know when he's coming through, if they could move their cars off the street, I know that's asking a lot, but it certainly would make a difference.
Let me get the schedule. We used to post the schedule. It didn't really do much. We tried door hangers at one point, but now we've got the text thing through Doppler. So let me see if we can get notification, how we can do that, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
That'll be much more effective if we could move those cars. Okay, Dr. Caldera, what was your idea?
No, I have so I do have a pending item because I know it's been coming up, is police personnel. And so it will be an executive session item because I've been answering individual questions, but I think we need to collectively have a conversation. But it deals with security, so I can't really have a public conversation about that. And so it'll be on a future agenda. I don't know if it'll be in, it'll probably be the second meeting in February or early March. It doesn't have anything to do with money. It's more of like the number of personnel and how we structure our scheduling. And so I can't really talk about that in public without interfering with that. So that will be a future item.
All right, that sounds good. All right, so it's now 9:22, and if my colleagues are still have the energy to go back to executive session, we will continue that and then be back before we adjourn for the evening. Okay, so we stand in recess, 9:22. Thank you.
Mr. McLeod, thank you so much. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Just hoping that.
No, it was excellent, we didn't follow.
Crystal, did you see that I forwarded you an email from the Happiness Tea Company that they said their check's in the mail?
Okay, yeah, I'll look for their application, I haven't received it
I
yet.
haven't sent out my second round of reminders. That's still on my list.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
I mean, I was yawning because of allergies, not because I was bored.
Thank you. And thank you for what you brought to our attention.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let me double check that.
you haven't even.
Don't do anything.
No, because you haven't done anything.
Appreciate seeing you,
Oh,
Mayor.
yes, thank you so much, Mr. Puff.
My
So good to
hair's
see you.
different. I'm
Yes,
wearing
it is.
glasses.
Oh, you look
Relax.
great, you look great. Thank you.
Yep, okay, and so, that begins. That's how I read it too. Yeah. Right, exactly. Okay.
Luckily, I was talking. I'm not gonna be able to move her. I've got her wrapped with a blanket. Over that one, so, and it's sealed, so that's kind of a terrarium. Because they're in pots this big. I'm just a little woman.
Check and check and check.
That's right.
Well, you know, well, but it's still new. It's only like 8 months old. $3,000. Yeah, because it's all the way around my deck. And I was looking at it yesterday. I'm like, "Man, they're pretty." I mean, I know, I watered it a lot when it first got in there, but I was out there last night watering it, so it's still water. And I have everybody in the street asking me. I'm not giving you my scenario.
I don't need, I have a little die. I moved it from where it was. About it, when food's not watered. I watered it, it kind of
Oh, when I had the office there, I heard it all the time on Fridays when it was quiet here on still on Fridays. Oh,
Yeah.
nobody. I think it's
I didn't
ghosts.
say hello, I didn't say shit.
Nobody saw me.
And then
It was Saturday. What the? I had coffee for 100 people. I don't get flavored coffee. I didn't ask for flavored coffee. It's possible that because it was maybe cold.
It was flavored coffee.
I was thinking what Brian was y'all had it at, I don't know what it's called, but.
That's Kamoka?
No, it wasn't the hot chocolate. It was, remember we were just at a restaurant the other day and y'all, is this the,
Café de
I don't know, but I said, well, that's the only thing I can think of because I didn't ask for the coffee. But
it's
it
got a
may have.
shitload of sugar in it.
Oh,
Yes,
Now, the real way you make it is
So,
like a block of the
it
the
was
triangle
sweet.
cone.
And well, Brian took you through that.
I'll eat a taco, but that's only because they've been wrapped and I'll grab it first and put it away, but I was like,
I'm just
God.
scared I'm gonna get, like, in the middle of my presentation.
Oh, no,
Like,
yeah.
you know, like either nerves or like I get pissed off or I don't know, what if I gotta vomit? So if I have an empty stomach, nothing's.
Be funny.
Well, I'm gonna have to leave, so if it's gonna like ice over at, you know, so I have to be here at 8:30, so 7 o'clock in the morning.
I was gonna leave at 6 and then she said she'd be here at 7:30-ish. That's good because I told Poppies, because I won't be able to be. I said, not the conference center, but the community center, so hopefully.
She'll still go over there.
Hopefully not, because it'll be locked, but,
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably run over there and put out all my stuff.
And seeing in my area, it's showing I'm at, and so my thing is, last time it froze over.
That'd be fun. That'll be too.
Figure
Yeah, a lot of
something out.
bridges.
You got a nice bed in the back of that thing.
So,
We can have a summer party.
sound
Casa su casa. No, I'm gonna leave early, but
I'm picking, my thing is the pastries I'm picking up on Friday, so that doesn't impact me, just gonna be. And
because you know the weather. So if it's gonna be,
twice.
yeah, but if it's gonna be worse than they think, I wouldn't even do the pastry. I didn't
Yep.
introduce water.
Your model,
I do need to order the council.
It releases so many more.
those roofer guys.
Yeah, but they put it in a big igloo, that's.
I mean, the only thing I can tell them. I buy a case.
Half your weight. home, I bring mine from home.
I don't know, but I had the guy come clean out my.
When you looked at it, don't do that.
So now I'm like, nope.
Nope. I'm glad mine, I can't see, I just. I was gonna say, don't get. I'm gonna pay attention, I'm not gonna.
So yeah, on Friday, I'll look at it, but
Different drivers.
that's normally how I get here if it's frozen. Going up, when you're going up on the frontage, so it's almost better for that section, just to pass the rim and then get back off. Last time it froze, I was on the access road and car that was going up started sliding.
I was gonna say, couldn't you just take sharp ones there too?
There's a lot of turns.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take my time.
Everything's good.
I'm gonna leave
Yeah,
early,
if I leave
take
early,
my
if I
time.
leave early,
Yeah.
take my time.
Yeah.
I have a couple, there's spots I know that it's
Yeah.
really nice, but I mean, it should be fine.
When I worked in Italia.
I still think we should have a slumber party.
I can't.
We can put some pop-up tents in here and it'll be fun.
I forgot, I have it on my phone, y'all. Ever since, I'm telling you, do you feel this way too, Dr. Caldera? Ever since I get like 4 a day.
Yep,
You know, it's crazy.
So you got the weather bug or?
No, it's Bear County, and then we got the state.
And so
Yeah.
then we get
They're all freaked out.
They give update after, anytime wind starts blowing in a different direction, we get a new.
And as we're in that subject, I know that we're not in session, but, are we preparing for the weekend for possible sleet and
Yeah.
stuff?
I'm sure we are.
We'll spray down beet juice.
Okay.
We turn off the water.
Well, okay, we're back at 9:41, but before we go to the action for the executive session, I just want, or do you want me to say this afterwards? Let me do that. I have the weather on my phone, so I thought I'd share with y'all from Bear County. But anyway, we're back at 9:41, and our action as a consensus body is to reschedule the city manager's evaluation for Tuesday, February 3rd at 5:30. No other executive session on there but this one for an hour prior to the council meeting so that we can complete our process. Yes.
So you do have an executive session for the.
Do we, is that eminent?
You said that's the only.
Yeah, I know. I think we just need to concentrate, if that's okay. And if we could move them to the second meeting, that would be,
Yes.
yeah. I don't think that's as high a priority as our evaluation of your
I agree.
performance, Doctor. Okay? So,
I just wanted to speak to the talk.
all right, very good. So if there's no any further discussion, then we'll go ahead and adjourn at 9:43 on Tuesday, January the 20th, and we'll see you all Saturday. And I will, let me just, so I'll go ahead and adjourn. 9:43, excuse me, and I want to just read you. They said the situation is hazard potential for freezing rain, sleet, and snow mix. No, the cold Arctic air arriving Friday with an increased confidence of wintry precipitation impacts for the Hill Country and Austin metro. Wind chill values single digits to upper teens appear Saturday night, not the morning. But we've got freezing rain, sleet, and snow mix. Temperatures between 15 to 25. Freezing rain across Hill Country Friday night and Austin Saturday. So see, I think it might not hit us.
So the morning on Saturday looks clearer. I mean,
Yeah, it does. Potential ice accumulations on roadways. It is predicted the lowest temperatures will be along the I-35 corridor and Hill Country areas. Impacts to Bexar County. Currently, the Weather Service is predicting most likely locations for impact to be Hill Country and the I-35 corridor Friday and Saturday night. Minor impacts, expect closure, disruptions, and avoid travel if possible. So, anyway, and they'll give us another briefing, as they always do, 3 or 4. So anyway, but I think we're gonna be okay. I think, but you never know. Knock on wood. So, but we'll see you all on Saturday morning, 8:30 for our town hall meeting. Okay, yes. 8:30.